with other senior officers. Mhodzi underwent cross-examination by the Commission's chief evidence leader, Advocate Matthew Chaskelson, yesterday and is set to resume this morning. The controversial Northwest businessman was accused of lying to the Madlanga Commission under oath yesterday as the evidence leader poked holes in his testimony. Oren Singh reports.
According to Brown Mhodzi, KZN Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi is part of a police mafia who colluded ahead of his July 6th briefing. He alleged that Mkhwanazi, together with National Police Commissioner Fani Masimola and Crime Intelligence Head Dumisani Khumalo, worked together in constructing Mkhwanazi's July speech.
General Mkhwanazi, during the press conference, he was very angry about the arrest of Lieutenant General Khumalo. I may not be able to know everyone who was involved, but I can assure you General Khumalo, General Mkhwanazi and General Masamula crafted, orchestrated that press conference.
On the 6th of July, Mkhwanazi broke rank during a press conference in Durban, claiming the criminal justice system in Gauteng was captured by certain business people and drug cartels working in cahoots with senior cops and politicians. Arun Singh, Eyewitness News.
The NPA's practices and procedure will come under the spotlight this morning at the inquiry into embattled Johannesburg prosecution's boss, Andrew Chawuk. Chawuk is facing an inquiry into his fitness to hold office after National Prosecution's boss, Shamila Batoy, laid a complaint against him. In July, President Cyril Ramaphosa suspended Chawuk and then set up the inquiry. Chawuk is accused of making questionable prosecutorial decisions that are politically motivated. Mhodzi has more.
Yesterday, Advocate Shamila Batoy spent the afternoon giving technical evidence on the employment structure at the NPA. She explained the role of the Director of Public Prosecutions compared to the National Director.
The decision to prosecute or not prosecute is the DPP's. The original power is the DPP. It is more a managerial function and oversight that resorts in the Deputy National Director.
Batoy told the Commission that the National Director, a position that she currently holds, cannot instruct a Regional Director of Prosecutions on whether or not to prosecute. This is important because, according to Andrew Chawuk's lawyers, the decision to prosecute former KZN Hawks head Johan Boysen was made by then Acting Director of Public Prosecutions, Nomgcobo Jiba, and not Chawuk. Batoy will continue with her testimony this morning. Mhodzi, Eyewitness News, Pretoria.
And Nigerian security forces are searching for 24 kidnapped girls from a secondary school in the northwestern town of Medea in Kebbi State. Authorities say unidentified armed men stormed the school premises during the early hours of Monday morning. One of the girls managed to escape, but the school's vice principal was killed. Nigeria has experienced repeated abductions of girls at schools, with the biggest incident being when militant group Boko Haram kidnapped 270 schoolgirls in the northeastern town of Chibok. Kebbi State Governor Nasir Adris says they are doing everything in their power to ensure that the children are found.
We see the parents that their children who have been abducted. And we give them confidence, we give them our words that we'll do everything possible to ensure that their children are being rescued.
Meanwhile, in a separate attack on Tuesday, gunmen killed 2 people during a church service that was recorded and broadcast online. Both the church attack and girls' abduction come after U.S. President Donald Trump earlier this month threatened military action over what he described as the killing of Nigeria's Christians, a narrative that has been rejected by the Nigerian government. President Bola Tinubu says security forces have been deployed to actively pursue and eliminate terrorists, bandits and criminal elements wherever they may be. Gold is trading at $4,065.73 an ounce. The rand is at 17.21 to the dollar, 22.45 to the pound, 19.82 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $63.69 a barrel.
In Sunning Hill, there's been an accident on the N1 North. It happened before the Baku interchange. It's already causing delays coming out of Rivonia Road. Please be on the lookout there. And travelling on the N1 North, leaving the Joburg South areas, do expect delays approaching the Diepkloof interchange.
And in your sport, Franco Mostert cleared of wrongdoing as his red card is rescinded by World Rugby and is free to play the Bok-Irish Test. Ashraf Hakimi named African Footballer of the Year, and Orlando Pirates sanctioned after CAF rule in favour of St. Eloi Lupopo.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng with afternoon thundershowers expected. Johannesburg starting at 14 degrees, peaking at 24. Pretoria 15 and 26. Vereeniging 16 and 25. The top story in EWN this hour. Airports Company South Africa has tightened security at OR Tambo International Airport to ensure the safety of G20 visitors.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
On 702.
Let's walk the talk.
7 minutes after 6 o'clock, it is a Thursday. It's the 20th of November, the year of our Lord 2025. Welcome to the program. My name indeed is Bongani Bingwa. Thrilled to be in your company for the next 3 hours. The idea of the show, of course, is to bring you up to speed with what's happening in the country, around the world. We'll look at why the events we are highlighting are important and why they matter to you, and you can then obviously make decisions accordingly. We'll debate it, we'll discuss it, we may have different views, and that's what it's all about. On our menu today, we have invited Mhodzi, who is an excellent EWN reporter and journalist. And she's been keeping an eye on all the various legal processes that are underway at the moment, a lot of them investigating alleged criminality in law enforcement. But what are the main issues so far? Did you blink and miss it? She is going to bring us all up to speed with the most important aspects and why they matter and what you should know. Judge Chris Nicholson, I think, is one of those who will forever be etched, certainly in legal history in South Africa. I think his impact may indeed have altered the trajectory of the country historically. You remember, of course, he's the guy who agreed with Jacob Zuma that there was political interference in him being charged by the NPA way back in 2008. And that's what paved the way for the recall of Thabo Mbeki as President of the Republic. It was an explosive moment in our history. There are those who argue that perhaps the NC would have done it anyway, found some other reason. And he's got a new book. He's talking to us after 7.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
On 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Let's walk the talk indeed. You are listening to us coming live from our Santon studios, and it's a Thursday, of course. So we are going to be looking at a number of issues, including this as a shout-out. I'm not alone in the studio. I've got my colleagues, Baphelile and Siamtanda, other producers, putting the show together behind the scenes. We've got Garabo, who does so much more than social media stuff. He is our social media guru. All the images you see on social media around the show are put together by him. KG starting the clock, and of course my colleagues Amo and of course Muteo in the studio with us this morning. Good morning, kids.
Morning, Bongs.
Morning, adults.
All right, kids and adults, here's a question for you. Have you ever, intentionally perhaps, or inadvertently, sent a message and then thought, oh no, tried to delete it, hoping the recipient didn't see it, and it was too late?
Too late?
It was too late, they did. Or have you been on the receiving end of that, where someone sent you a message, deleted it, but you'd already seen it?
I'd already seen it. Can't talk about the message, but I'd already seen it. And we had a discussion about it. It wasn't something nice that was said.
To you?
Yes. Well, about me.
So it wasn't meant for you?
It wasn't meant for me, but I think because it was about me, the person mistakenly then
sent it to you.
Yeah.
Did it change your relationship? Or how you viewed that person?
It did. It changed our relationship.
Things were never the same again?
No, things were
never
quite
the same. Amo?
I try to be very careful with the text messages that I send, but I know when I'm feeling angry about
Yeah,
something,
yeah.
anything can happen. So this one time I sent, so I had an argument, not an argument, basically. I'd made my mom angry about something and she was shouting at me. And after that, I was venting to my sister via WhatsApp text about her. And I said, oh, she's always something. I think I said she's always so mean or something like that. And I sent it to my mother instead of my sister. And then I don't know if she saw it. Thanks God for the, the technology. What do you call these? Disadvantages, because on her end, I don't think if I deleted it, she'd seen it. But afterwards, I think she saw it because the way she tweeted me, it wasn't normal.
For a little while, things got a little testy, hey?
Mm-hmm.
So I was once in an argument with someone and I was forwarding the messages this person was sending me because I was trying to say, look at what Muteo is saying. See what I mean? This is what I have to put up with. But I accidentally forwarded them back to the sender.
No.
Yes. And so the sender says, oh, well, I'm pretty certain those messages you forwarded were not meant for me. And as I said to Africa Malane, I'm a Xhosa man. I can be relied upon to mela indoyam, to stand my ground. So I said to the person, no, I wanted you to read them again.
What are you saying about Xhosa men?
We are well known. Come on. I said, I wanted you to read them because this is not you. I wanted them to sit with you again. Meantime, back at the ranch. Have you sent a message accidentally, maybe even intentionally, and thought the better of it and tried to delete it, hoping the recipient didn't see it, but it was too late? What happened? Let us know.
You're with Bongani Bingwa.
7:02 weekday mornings, 6 to 9 a.m.
On our menu today, 13 minutes after 6 o'clock, on our menu today, we are keeping up to speed with all the various processes that are underway. Remember, of course, this controversial fixer, they call him businessman, Brown Mhodzi, has been under the cosh, being cross-examined now at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, and so many holes have been poked into some of the things that he has said. I want you to listen to Commissioner Sesi Baloi yesterday raising concerns over the credibility of Brown Mhodzi's testimony the day before. Here Baloi accuses Mhodzi of not backing up the claims he makes.
You told us yesterday, and you're repeating now, that Mr. Matala told you that he gave General Mkhwanazi a bag. I think that's what you said in Durban. You remember that?
Yes, something, yeah.
Something like that. You remember that? Now, you haven't investigated that. You haven't put to us evidence of the truthfulness, one, of your conversation with Mr. Matala that you allege, and two, that what he told you is in fact true. We don't have facts. We are a fact-finding body as a commission. How do you figure that helps the commission in executing its mandate?
All I'm saying is I came here to give my side of the story. Now, for one to say I'm misdirecting or this is a misdirection when I say this is what I know. If Ket was lying to me, he lied to me. But this is what I know. He told me.
But prove it. It's not enough to come and say, this is what I heard. This is what I know. Sesi Baloi continued to press Brown Mhodzi yesterday about the ability or inability, as it were, to back up his claims.
We have only your say-so. And I'm concerned that we may well be grossly irresponsible and reckless as a commission, that we've given you a platform where you're making all these statements and you present them as facts and you keep saying, I'm here to help the commission, when in fact they're not backed up by any facts or even basic investigation on your part. Do you accept that you're making statements that you have, for whatever reason, you're not backing them up with facts, even just this little bit about payments to Mkhwanazi and to Masim, to General Cele? It's not backed up by facts.
I accept that, Commissioner.
And you accept that's not helpful to the commission if we don't have facts from you?
If the commission is a fact-finding body, and I give you information, I'm giving it that commission can investigate.
I mean, remember the claim he made about CIA agents? He said that Mkhwanazi, the KZN police commissioner, and the king of the Zulu were CIA agents. Remember that claim yesterday? Well, the chief evidence leader, Matthew Chaskelson, tore into Mhodzi's testimony about that. So you remember Mhodzi's claim had been that Mkhwanazi and the king had worked for the CIA. He says they were recruited after a coal mine in Richards Bay was under the threat of closure, and the CIA got involved because there were Israeli interests in that mining operation. Chaskelson tested him on that yesterday.
You mentioned yesterday a coal mine in Richards Bay. There is no coal mine in Richards Bay.
It's correct.
But you mentioned a coal mine.
Yeah, I can rephrase and put it in proper context. The coal mine is in Mpumalanga. I wanted to say the end route, the route that is utilized is the Richards Bay one. Thank you so much.
Well, then let me tell you that the Richards Bay coal terminal is owned by a consortium of more than 10 different mining companies, each of whom have their own export quota. Did you know that?
I'm not aware of that.
And each of these, I think it's either 13 or 15 mining companies, control how that export quota is used. So they can decide who they want to export coal to from Richards Bay. Do you know that?
I was not aware of that.
So why would you say... You said it was in Richards Bay. No. I meant the one that, you know, the road from Mpumalanga that Chaskelson eventually just went straight to the point. You, sir, are a liar. That's what he put to him.
But I want to put a broader proposition to you, which is your role as an agent essentially makes you a professional liar. You lie as your job. What's your answer to that?
That's not correct, commissioners. Even when I spoke about the legend building and so forth, there's rules. You cannot just stand up and lie. This was a pure community project, and I did not lie. That's why they say they came aware of the timber. There was no way the lawyer could say in the affidavit, we had a whistleblower, and therefore the appointment date came late. That's how the lawyer would put his thing to court. So I'm
blah, blah. I'm not a liar. Are you convinced? Was the Sowetan right yesterday when they called this man Brown Mugosi?
Let's walk the talk.
702.
We'll delve into all of this with our EWN reporter, Khomotso Modise. Muthe Khwaripe, you've got a question of your own?
Yeah, I want to know this morning, do you succumb easily to group pressure?
Depends what the pressure is about.
Well, if the group needs to perhaps decide on a venue to go to meet up, or whether they're going to, have some drinks or some wine, or...
Why would there be pressure?
Basic...
To have wine. How's that pressure?
Oh, wow. You definitely would not need... You won't need convincing.
Why would there be pressure?
Yeah.
You
I
won't
think he
need
would come up with the
convincing.
idea. He's the ringleader.
He's the one saying, let's go have wine.
I succumb to group pleasure.
702.
Weather.
It's 20 minutes after 6 o'clock. This EWN weather brought to you by Samsung. Samsung air conditioners bring the cool to today's weather update. A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng with afternoon thunder showers expected. Temperatures peaking at 24 degrees in Jozi, 25 in Vereeniging, 26 in Pretoria. Cape Town, fine and windy, a high of 27. And we are looking at a high of 24 degrees for Gqeberha, East London and Durban. Pretty much the same story on the coast. Bloemfontein peaks at 29, Bombela 24.
At the break of day, the shoreline hums with promise. A cool breeze drifts across the sand. Children laugh in the distance. Umbrellas bloom brightly and the horizon glimmers with ease. It feels lighter here, fresher, as if summer has been redefined. That's the power of Samsung air conditioners in your home, where innovation meets serenity. Make every day a cooler, smarter summer. Shop at Samsung stores online or speak to your authorized installer.
EWN Traffic.
21 after 6, this EWN traffic brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now. You could save on your car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. It's early days. Amo, what are you seeing on your maps?
Well, Bongani, we do have road closures within the Nasrec precinct. This is ahead of the G20 summit. So please try to avoid the Golden Highway. It's closed off to traffic between the Renshaw Road and the Soweto Highway, as well as Nasrec Road between Renshaw Road and Shaft Road. It's going to be busy around the area. So if you can, please plan your trips ahead of time and try to leave the south of Joburg a bit early than you usually do. As we speak, we've got delays on the N1 North. This is between the N12 exit and the Deep Kloof interchange. Peak time pressure there. And there's also queuing traffic in Sunning Hill. An accident has been reported on the N1 North. Is right near the Baklu interchange. Delays as you come out of Rivonia Road. More updates coming up, but if you come across anything else, we're on X at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
The Outsurance Pointsman can't help you pitch your idea to your manager, but they can ease the traffic congestion so you get to the office on time to wow them with your presentation. With the Outsurance Pointsman on the roads for the past 20 years, we can all get to where we need to quickly and safely. Outsurance really means it when they say you always get something out. In proud partnership with 702, Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
Pain management is a part of so many people's daily lives. With headaches, muscular pain, dental pain, menstrual pain, and even pain from tension. With Adcock Ingram OTC, build a pain survival pack for you and your family. With a comprehensive treatment range for mild to moderate pain, we have you covered all year round. Available over the counter at your pharmacy. Ask your pharmacist for the Adcock Ingram OTC Pain Survival Pack and visit beprepared365.co.za.
Business Outsurance are experts in business insurance for butcheries, restaurants, beauty salons, and more. Here's Gert.
I definitely have peace of mind that Business Outsurance is protecting our business. I do think Business Outsurance are the best insurance company out there, and they gave us the best quotes.
Switch to Business Outsurance, and you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium. Visit outsurance.co.za. Switch and save today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
For the first time on African soil, business leaders from across the globe are gathered for the B20 Summit in Sandton till the 20th November. On the agenda is inclusive growth and prosperity through global cooperation. Every day, the Clement Manatela Show will be in conversation with Nedbank to discuss all the news, views, and insights live from the B20 Summit. So tune in to 702 in conversation with Nedbank, proud sponsors of the B20 Summit. Nedbank is a licensed FSP and registered credit provider.
702.
Add your voice.
Have your say.
Let's walk the talk.
Good morning, Bongani and the team. You know, I was looking forward to the testimony of Brian Mhodzi. But, Bongani, I'm disappointed. I'm very disappointed. I think it's a waste of time. Mhodzi must just go. I'm disappointed, Bongani. Abraham Shoshanguve, thank you very much.
Start your day with Bongani Bingwa
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
I think the Sowetan said it best when they called him Brown Mugosi, brown gossip in other words. Right, 24 after 6, things you need to know at this hour. US President Donald Trump has been hosting Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman at the White House. They had a dinner there that was attended by top business leaders, the who's who really, particularly global sports figures, including FIFA President Gianni Infantino and the footballer Cristiano Ronaldo. I thought it was quite interesting because at some point, Donald Trump says he now has the respect of his younger son because, of course, Cristiano Ronaldo was at this dinner.
You know, my son is a big fan of Ronaldo, wherever Ronaldo is here. Ronaldo. And Barron got to meet him, and I think he respects his father a little bit more now, just the fact that I introduced you.
Have you ever been impressed by who your parents know? Right? Have you ever been, oh, what? Okay, you, Candy. Have you ever been impressed by who your parents know? I'd love to hear your stories. The Durban High Court has heard of several deleted social media posts by the MK Party MP Duduzile Zuma-Sambula that have been successfully recovered as evidence in her terrorism trial linked to the 2021 unrest. You remember she's being accused of inflaming what we saw in July 2021. In one of these deleted messages, it's a video, right? It's a video showing someone firing at an ANC poster of President Cyril Ramaphosa. And this was used by the media law expert Emma Sadler at the trial. The defense lawyer Dalimpofu objected to the videos being shown, arguing they hadn't received them in time. But obviously she had deleted this at some point. But at the time, she was egging these kinds of things on. And that's why we're asking the question, have you ever inadvertently or even deliberately sent a message and then in a moment of panic realized perhaps that's not what I should keep? This has come back to burn Duduzile Zuma-Sambula. A rare Gustav Klimt portrait sold in New York for $236.4 million. That's over 4 billion rand. It's become the second most expensive artwork ever auctioned. The painting was looted by the Nazis in the Second World War and later was recovered and became part of the collection of Estee Lauder and her son, Leonard Lauder, and it far exceeded the expected price of $150 million. If you don't know who Gustav Klimt was, he was an influential Austrian painter and a leading force behind the Vienna secession, helping shape Europe's Art Nouveau movement, and really celebrated for his bold, erotic depictions of women. South African winemaker Millennium and Liu Family Wines have been named World's Best Rising Star at the 2025 Vines Awards in Miami, often called the Oscars of wines. And I think this is part of South Africa's growing reputation as a world-class premium wine exporter. And I would imagine this is going to become one of the favorites because as soon as wine estates win awards, people flock there. Now, not all of us live near wine estates, but what's the hottest spot to chill out in your neighborhood? Is there some place that you would recommend near where you live? I live near the neighborhood shopping center. It's a little shopping center that has popped up in the last 5-10 years. It's just absolutely fantastic. It's like going to the Nickelway shopping centers without going to the Nickelway shopping centers, if you know what I mean. And it's in my neighborhood.
Now you want people to flock there.
You can if you want. It's a great spot. You'd have to travel.
You're not going to gatekeep.
You'd have to leave Nickelway to come to my neighborhood. Do you have a hot spot in your neighborhood, in your area that you would recommend? Do let us know. And it was on this day in 1995, a groundbreaking BBC interview with Her then Royal Highness Princess Diana revealed an affair, also that Prince Charles was still having an extramarital affair with the then Mrs. Parker Bowles, known to you as Queen Camilla today.
702.
The newspapers.
Sviso Zulu, what you got in the papers? Good morning.
Good morning, Bongani. There is a massive search in Nigeria for 24 kidnapped schoolgirls.
Yes.
They were kidnapped by gunmen who stormed into their secondary school in the early hours of Monday morning. So this is a boarding school, obviously, while they were sleeping, and these gunmen just stormed the school and kidnapped them. One learner managed to escape, but unfortunately the vice president was shot. Vice principal of the school was shot dead.
Sure.
And I was watching some footage trying to get more on the story, and a reporter in Nigeria says the one girl who managed to escape, the gunman pointed her on the head with the gun. They said she must say a prayer so that she doesn't get shot, and she said the prayer, and for some reason she managed to escape. So there's that huge search that's happening. But after that, there was another incident that happened in the same state in Nigeria, where gunmen stormed a church while it was being recorded live online, and they shot people. 2 people died, unfortunately, there. And the president had to cancel his trip for G20 summit here in South Africa
because of this.
Yeah.
Look, that church incident will certainly feed into Trump's lies. But as we noted yesterday, these 25 girls who were abducted are mostly of the Muslim faith. So it is complicated. The front page of the papers today, the Sowetan, US can't dictate G20 outcomes. And it's got a picture of the M1, and there are banners of G20 world leaders on that double-decker bridge in Johannesburg. The front page of the Business Day: court bid threatens Cell C's 12 billion rand listing. And where's our waters 4 billion rand? The phantom amount to fix Joburg's water problems is a mere bookkeeping entry, says the Citizen, not cash that is accessible. Those are the newspapers.
EWN Business.
Right, Mateo wants to know, do we succumb to group pressure, easily swayed? I think there are many of us who fall into the zeitgeist and the thinking of the moment, not always being able to interrogate what our particular or personal views might be. What prompts the question?
Well, the South African Reserve Bank will decide on the country's latest interest rate this afternoon in their last meeting for the year. In the September meeting, when the SARB held the repo rate at 7%, it was a split decision, with 4 of the 6 members opting to hold, while actually 2 wanted a cut of 25 basis points. Many South Africans will be hoping the decision will go the other way this time around, as many seek some repayment reprieve for their home, car, and personal loans.
You know what I'm going to ask you. Gaze into your crystal ball. Not what you want them to do. What do you think they'll do?
There's a lot to consider, even with the introduction of the 3% inflation. I think they will hold again.
Nah.
You don't like that?
No.
But the latest inflation number could affect the way the SARB goes this afternoon on Wednesday. South Africa's annual consumer price inflation edged up to 3.6%. The October figure is from 3.4% recorded in September. Now, according to the latest SASA data, the uptick in CPI is due to things like transport, recreation, alcoholic beverages, and tobacco costs. As SASA says, this is the highest inflation rate recorded since September 2024, when it reached 3.8%. And we know when rates are high.
Look because if it's steadily going away from the now target of 3%, then you kind of know where they'll go. But maybe the rand will be a factor. Because that will, of course, catch up in time. Where is it now?
It's at 17 Rand 21 against the US dollar, at 19 Rand 82 against the euro, and 22 Rand 44 cents against the British pound. Price of gold at $4,077 an ounce, while platinum is up 1.5% at $1,563. Brent crude at $63.61 a barrel. More business after 7.
Straight to the news desk we go. Good morning again, Sfisa Zulu.
Thanks, Bongani. Good morning. Chair of the B20 Finance and Infrastructure Task Force, Sim Shabalala, has again criticized international credit ratings agencies amid growing concerns about a bias against African countries. Shabalala, who is also the CEO of the continent's largest bank, is among many leading voices that have hit out about the mispricing of African debt. His comments have also been echoed by other captains of industry and some South African government officials at the B20 summit in Sandton. This is the business leg of the G20 under South Africa's presidency, which comes to an end this week. Shabalala says the lack of transparency in credit ratings for African states can no longer be ignored.
The mispricing of African debt costs 2 percentage points of GDP. So if the continent is going to grow at 4.5% this year, it should be growing at 6.5%. I mean, that is why it's characterized by me and by many others as scandalous.
Although South Africa was recently given its first rating upgrade by S&P in nearly 2 decades, Shabalala says the country should be a few notches higher.
It should actually be rated BBB, which is investment grade, and would save South Africa 50 billion rand a year, in the medium term. Think of how many schools, how many bridges, how many roads could be built by doing that.
A women and children's rights organization is calling for the immediate extradition of former Cape Town teacher facing charges of sexual abuse in Scotland. Ian Wyers was arrested at Simonstown's Magistrates Court last month under a United Kingdom extradition warrant. He was charged with 90 new counts and granted bail of 10,000 rand. The 86-year-old is facing child sexual abuse charges in Cape Town and in the UK during his 40-year teaching career. Duduzile Zuma-Sambula reports.
Ian Wyers' latest court appearance today is to consolidate all the charges he's facing relating to the sexual and physical abuse of more than 60 boys in Scotland, where he taught in the 1960s and 70s. Women and Men Against Child Abuse's Luke Lamprecht says they expect the court to confirm that he can be extradited on all these charges.
Once that is done, we expect him to swiftly be sent to Scotland to face justice and give closure to his international victims.
Duduzile Zuma-Sambula, Eyewitness News.
And UNICEF says more than 400 million children lack access to 2 basic meals and sanitation every day. The organization is marking World Children's Day by appealing to African governments to children's rights to grow and thrive. It adds that governments are cutting down on foreign assistance, and it projects that these budget cuts could have as many as 6 million children out of school by next year. Camry Clark reports.
UNICEF's report on the state of the world's children found that 417 million children are deprived of at least 2 essential basic needs, critical for their development and well-being. The report says the highest rates of multidimensional poverty exists in sub-Saharan Africa. It also found that access to sanitation was the most widely neglected basic need, with 65% of low-income household children lacking access to a toilet. The report also assesses monetary poverty, stating that 19% of children live in extreme monetary poverty. UNICEF's Louis Dubois.
And the situation is especially severe in Africa, where children face the highest levels of hardship. Across the continent, many children are missing out on the support they need to stay healthy, go to school, and grow up safely.
UNICEF today urges all governments to prioritize giving decent work to caregivers to strengthen the economic security of children. Camry Clark, Eyewitness News.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng with showers expected. The temperature are at lows of 15 and 16 degrees, peaking at highs between 24 and 26.
And in the traffic in Sunninghill, we still have got that accident on the N1 North, right near the Bakru interchange. Delays coming out of Winnie Mandela Drive. There's also queuing traffic along the N1 North. This is in the Nigerian area between the N12 exit and the Deep Kloof interchange.
The top story this hour, Chair of the B20 Finance and Infrastructure Task Force, Sim Shabalala, has again criticized international credit ratings agencies amid growing concerns about bias against African countries.
Part of the 702 family.
Hi, my name is Madlanga Felicity Ngubane, and I'm from Johannesburg. I'm staying in Malaysia currently. 702 helped me through my depression, my divorce, COVID. So I'm very, very happy that 702 helped me through all of those years. And I'm still going to continue listening to you guys from the morning to the evening. And yeah, thank you, 702.
Welcome to our 702 family. Let's walk the talk.
Ready to sell your vehicle? We Buy Cars goes above and beyond to make it simple, quick, and rewarding. Sell your car, bike, boat, or bakkie for a great price with instant payment. Trading in or buying next? Explore over 12,000 vehicles, plus get a flexible finance or cover option at webuycars.co.za or at any branch. We Buy Cars, the best way to buy or sell.
Progress builds, it moves, and it has a partner. That partner is Anglo-American. Together, we're building progress where it matters most across South Africa. With a 1 billion rand investment into education in our host communities, $15 million pledged to the Global Fund to support community-based health services, 1.6 billion rand in deals facilitated through our Impact Finance Network. And as a sponsor of B20 and G20, we're bringing that same spirit of partnership to a global stage, proving that when collaboration is real, progress moves faster. South Africa has a partner. Join the conversation on social media. Anglo-American, mining potential, building beyond.
For the first time ever, the G20 summit is being hosted on African soil, a global moment of solidarity, equality, and sustainability, with Africa at the center. Tune in tomorrow between 6 and 9 for the G20 Correspondence Desk on 702, and it's brought to you by RMB and FNB, proud sponsors of this year's G20 summit. The latest news, views, insights, and breakthroughs from the summit as it happens. The G20 Correspondence Desk on 702, Brought to you by RMB and FNB, divisions of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized financial services and credit provider.
702.
WhatsApp Bongani on 072
702 1702.
Hi, Bongani. I sent a message to my boss, which was meant to be sent to my cousin about my boss. When I realized, I just went to her and I'm like, did you see the message? That's after I deleted it. I knew she saw it because it was a while later when I saw. And I'm like, did you see the message? She was like, yeah. And then I started explaining, and I'm like, I'm sorry. I was actually speaking to my cousin, but yeah, I'm sorry.
Good morning, Bongani and the team. I know someone who was flirting with a colleague at work, and as they were communicating or chatting on WhatsApp, the guy, thinking that he's sending messages back to the lady, was actually sending messages to the WhatsApp group. Hey, it was lit. It was lit. So then I called him to say, what is it? What is this? What are you talking about? And there he was trying to delete. In the meantime, most people had seen it. So yeah.
Good morning, Bongani, to the team as well. Good morning. You know, mine, it wasn't a message. You know, when you're having a conversation on WhatsApp with someone, and then just after the conversation, you're just upset and to the person that you were having a conversation with. And you have your own conversation just to say, ish, this guy, he irritates me and blah, blah, blah. And not realizing that you didn't drop the phone. That's what happened to me. Ish.
We're talking about inadvertently or even deliberately sending a message and then realizing later that perhaps that is not what you want the recipient to arrive. It comes in the wake of the trial in the Durban High Court yesterday, evidence being presented by the media law expert Emma Sadler on one of the videos recovered from the social media posts of MK Party MP Duduzile Zuma-Sambula. Remember, of course, she is on trial for stoking the 2021 unrest in July, and she deleted one video in particular in which someone firing at an ANC poster of President Cyril Ramaphosa. She'd posted it, she deleted it, but it has since been recovered. Have you ever been in the same soup? I remember once at a place where I worked, the boss said something to the group, and somebody responded in a very, very unkind, swearing actually, and then quickly deleted it. But of course, not before somebody had taken a screen grab. And then this person now had to explain, no, I wasn't talking about you, boss. I was talking about, this was meant to be for another group, about somebody else. It had nothing to do with you. Yeah, that didn't end well.
EWN Sport.
Anthony Teixeira, of course, is the very picture of discretion and restraint. Would never send a WhatsApp message.
Never.
He didn't mean to. He says exactly what he means and means exactly what he says.
100%, Bongani.
Including very good news for the Springboks.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Great news. Although a lot of egg on the face of World Rugby, if we're being totally honest. But Franco Mostritz will be free to face Ireland Saturday after his permanent red card was rescinded. The Springbok lock was given his marching orders 11 minutes into the win over Italy for what referee James Dolman had judged to be a high degree of danger in his tackle on fly half Paolo Garbisi. A three-person disciplinary committee determined that although the contact had been made with the head, the initial hit was lower down. The Springboks will be announcing their squad for that Saturday test against the Irish later this afternoon, with the world champs not having had much success in Dublin since 2012. Jason Colby admitted that a win there would show the team's growth.
Whatever team you play for, especially for the Springboks, you would obviously love to win each and every test match you play in. But yeah, personally for me as a player, I haven't won yet. We came close in 2022, but yeah, just didn't capitalize on a few opportunities and shots at goal that definitely costed us. Back then, it will obviously be massive for the team, for our growth, the way we want to move forward.
Ashraf Hakimi has been named the African Footballer of the Year. It was arguably the fullback's best season as he started in PSG's treble-winning season, which saw the French clubs wait for a first UEFA Champions League trophy end. While in cricket, New Zealand clinched a 5-wicket win over the West Indies to take an unassailable 2-0 lead in the ODI series. Orlando Pirates have been imposed by CAF after the continent's governing body ruled in favour of St. Eloi Lupopo. They have received an 85,000 rand fine for depriving the Congolese side of the necessary accreditations and a further 343,000 rand fine for spraying chemicals in the opponent's locker room. While the Lions are out of the T20 challenge after losing the Super Over to the Dragons after the match was drawn. Meanwhile, the Warriors won by 98 runs against Poland. And the ICC Under-19 Men's Cricket World Cup, co-hosted by Zimbabwe and Namibia, is scheduled. They've announced that with the set to run between January 15th and February 6th, 2026. South Africa start the tournament off against Afghanistan and end their group stage against the West Indies.
Sorry, Pirates sprayed what?
Yeah, chemicals in their opponent's locker room. That is one of the craziest stories I've ever heard. I think there's this whole like African football, continental football gets a bad name in terms of having fireworks go out of opponents, where they're staying, the hotels and whatever, but actually
to keep them up.
Yeah, to keep them up and make sure that they fatigue, but the chemicals is something else entirely. It is a worry.
From what witch doctor, I wonder?
A real question there. And in tennis, Roger Federer will be inducted into the International Tennis Hall of Fame. Throughout his legendary career, he won 20 Grand Slam titles, becoming the first male player to reach that feat, clinching 103 career titles and holding on to that number one spot for a record 237 weeks between 2004 and 2008. The induction celebration is set for August 2026. Anthony Teixeira, Eyewitness News Sport.
702.
More than a radio station.
Let's walk the talk.
At the heart of conversations about Africa's future, global conversations shaping that future, you have to hear what the continent has to say. As Africa's largest bank by assets and lead sponsor of the B20 Summit, Standard Bank Group is proud to spotlight Africa's growth and partnerships and potential on the world stage. Through informed dialogue and powerful partnerships, Standard Bank is driving sustainable growth where it matters most. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
Step into a world of unforgettable experiences in Dubai. From luxury beaches to underwater adventures. From authentic traditions to futuristic museums. Make it a Dubai adventure to remember with Emirates. Fly to Dubai from one of 3 gateways in South Africa. Start your holiday the moment you board with delicious regional meals, complimentary drinks, and up to 6,500 channels of entertainment. Fly Emirates. Fly better.
You can build a better future with 10x Investments, your guide to crafting a legacy the right way. Catch 702 in conversation with 10x Investments next Monday. Discover how you can secure your future financial wealth, one smart investment at a time. That's 702 in conversation with 10x Investments next Monday on 702 Drive with John Pullman.
The brainy kids of the Whis quiz
on 702.
Hi, my name is Sandile. I am 10 years old. I go to Macaulay House. When I grow up, I want to be a scientist. I am excited to play the Whis quiz with Uncle Bongani.
We're excited to play with you too. Can you win 10,000 Rand?
EWN Traffic.
Right, this EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now. You could save on your car insurance if you don't ask them for 500 Rand. There's a crash in Sunning Hill, Amo.
That's correct, Bongani. It's right on the N1 North near the Baku interchange. It's causing heavy traffic volumes coming out of Malibongwe Drive. There's also queuing traffic on Malibongwe Drive approaching the N1 as well as on Winnie Mandela Drive coming out of Four Ways. More updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. The Outsurance pointsmen know that every car on the road carries a story. There's a car with a shift worker making his way home and daydreaming about his next career move, his next chapter. The Outsurance pointsmen know it's not just a car in traffic, it's a possible light bulb moment that could change someone's life. Every story is different and every story matters. That's why the Outsurance pointsmen have been doing what they do since 2005 in proud partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
Take your leadership to the next level. Wits Business School, in partnership with France's top-ranked Kedge Business School is launching the Wits MBA in Global Executive Leadership, a powerful new program designed for senior leaders ready to think globally and lead with impact. Join the online information session 20 November at 5:30 p.m. to discover how this world-class MBA can transform your career. Register now at wbs.ac.za. That's wbs.ac.za. The Wits MBA in Global Executive Leadership, shaping global leaders for a changing world.
Dreaming of a tropical escape? World Leisure Holidays has your ticket to paradise with exclusive getaways to the Indian Ocean Islands. From the beaches of Mauritius and the Maldives to the charm of Madagascar, Seychelles, Zanzibar and more, your dream destination awaits. Take advantage of early bird specials and pay stay offers. Call 011-285-2500 and mention 702 for a mystery discount. Or follow us on social media or contact your nearest travel professional. Start planning your escape today. T's and C's apply.
You are not dreaming. You are repeating. Insurance, pineapple. Insurance, pineapple. Insurance, pineapple. Insurance, pineapple. Pineapple FSP 48650 is underwritten by Omart Insure Limited, a licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP.
702.
Coming up at 7:15, the big interview.
The stage is set as business leaders from the G20 countries gather in South Africa for the B20 Summit from 18th to 20th November for the first time in history on African soil. The Clement Manyathela Show will be there, live with Nedbank, to discover how inclusive growth and prosperity can be achieved through global cooperation. So, be a part of history and tune in every day to the Clement Manyathela Show, live from the B20 Summit in Sandton. Brought to you by Nedbank, proud sponsors of the B20 Summit on 702. Nedbank is a licensed FSP and registered credit provider.
Coming up in the next hour, what's the question? And it's brought to you by Outsurance. Up to 3,000 Rand in cash is up for grabs. Send us an answer based on something that piqued your interest that you heard on the show, and for that you win 1,000 Rand. WhatsApp us your name and the answer to 072 702 1702. Then later, someone will win 2,000 Rand by framing a question. SMS out to 45142 now, and Outsurance could save you on your car insurance.
Who is the whizziest of them all?
It's the Whis Quiz on 702.
Up next, our Mhodzi explains the various legal processes underway, both in Parliament, various commissions, and inquiries. There's a lot to get through. Let's give away some cash, shall we, today with playing with Sandile, 10 years old, wants to be a scientist. A very good morning to you, Sandile. Are you ready to play? Sandile? What kind of scientist do you want to be? Sandile, are you there? All right, there clearly seems to be a connection issue there. I tell you what, let's see if we can reconnect with Sandile. Otherwise, we can just move it to tomorrow because that line is letting us down. We'll play with you, Sandile, but we're just not connecting at the moment for some reason.
Current events, developing stories,
Tough questions.
your voice making a difference.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa.
All right, let's join now Mhodzi, who is our Eyewitness News ace reporter and journalist. I thought it'd be a good time to have a little bit of an explain about the various processes that are underway looking at alleged criminality in our law enforcement. There's the ad hoc committee investigation by members of Parliament. You've also, of course, no doubt kept an eye on the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, which has now entered phase 2 of its deliberations. And we thought perhaps let's get some analysis about some of the key moments and what we've heard so far and what it means. Mhodzi, always a pleasure to have you on the phone with us, talking to us on the show. The big talking point, no doubt, in Parliament has been around the appearance of Mary de Haas. And of course, it was Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi who first said to MPs, bring her in, because she was pivotal to that decision to disband that political killings task team. How did she fare?
Good morning, Bongani. Yes, so we saw Mary de Haas before Parliament yesterday, and it was the day before yesterday, actually, and she had a really difficult time before Parliament there. She had a poor showing as she tried to explain the recommendation that she had made to Police Minister Senzo Mchunu for the disbandment of the Political Killings Task Team. You remember that it was Minister Senzo Mchunu who had informed Parliament that he received that letter from Mary de Haas, and General Ntangamkhwanazi pointed out how a letter from Mary, who is a researcher, prominent researcher, and someone who's known in the safety and security space, informed such an important decision, an executive decision that was made by the police minister. And I think it was interesting to see how Mary de Haas struggled to substantiate the reasons that she gave for the recommendation to disband the Political Killings Task Team. She couldn't explain what she meant when she said the PKTT was unlawful. She couldn't explain what she meant, Bongani, when she pointed out the fact that General Ntangamkhwanazi was not qualified to run such an operation. And she really struggled to clarify for members of Parliament where she came from in the writing of that letter. And members of Parliament really, didn't hold back in criticizing her on that recommendation.
I think at one point she said she was just testing Senzo Mchunu because he was the new police minister. She was sounding him out to see what he would do. And of course, when she wrote that letter 3 months later, he summarily insisted that it be disbanded with that famous word immediately. Bring us up to speed, Khomutso, with the other inquiry. This one now looking into Joburg prosecution's boss, Advocate Andrew Chawuk. He has, of course, denied the charges against him. He says they are vague and even embarrassing. Why does this matter?
Well, this inquiry has been a long time coming, Bongani. In 2023, NPA head Shamila Batoyi had lodged a complaint with the President, Cyril Ramaphosa, against Johannesburg prosecution's boss, Andrew Chawuk. And her concerns were really based on his prosecutorial decisions that he'd made on a number of matters. You may remember the prosecution of former KZN Hawks boss, Johan Boysen, where he was charged with those racketeering charges that eventually were withdrawn. That's one of the matters that Andrew Chawuk has to answer on, not because he ultimately called for that prosecution, but it's for the role that he played in supporting that decision that was made by then prosecution's boss, Advocate Nomgcobo Chiba. And the NPA says he brought the institution into disrepute in the role that he played in that decision making. But a second case also that he's been criticized for is the prosecution of Richard Mdluli. That's the former crime intelligence boss. In 1999, Bongani, Richard Mdluli was linked to the murder of a man who he had shared a lover with. And it had been a back and forth situation where the family of this victim had gone to the police to say they were being threatened by him, by Richard Mdluli. And it was known at the time that Mdluli was sharing a lover with this man. That man died under mysterious circumstances, being shot in his car. And Mdluli was prosecuted, but not for murder, only for kidnapping and assault. And the question really was why? Why Andrew Chawuk had failed to prosecute Richard Mdluli for murder. And Chawuk said that he took this matter to inquest. And the inquest made a recommendation that informed his decision only to prosecute Richard Mdluli for kidnapping and assault. Now, these two cases have come back to haunt him over 15 years later, Bongani, and he needs to answer before this inquiry as to how he came to the prosecutorial decisions that he made, or how he applied his prosecutorial discretion as a senior prosecutor in Johannesburg. That inquiry is currently sitting in Pretoria, and Advocate Shamila Batoyi, the main witness and the main complainant, is testifying. Yesterday, we heard Bongani saying that she finds no joy in testifying against a senior colleague, but it is about the perception that such cases leave, in the minds of South Africans, that she says this must be addressed in the manner that it is being addressed in this inquiry.
And of course, you'll remember, Khomutso, it was in fact one of her first decisions as National Director of Public Prosecutions to drop those racketeering charges against Boysens. You remember, of course, Johan Boysen had gone after very influential business figures in KZN. There was even a 60 million rand corruption case against one Toshan Pandey, who had been scoring lucrative SAPS tenders at the time, and was prosecuted under Advocate Nomgcobo Jiba and Sean Abrams, as you say. So in a sense, Batoyi, they're defending one of her early decisions. As always, great reporting. Appreciate your time and that context. EWN reporter Khomotso Modise.
702. Coming up, the big interview.
Talking about politically motivated prosecutions, our big interview this morning is with a man whose decision probably changed the direction of South African history. Chris Nicholson, of course, was the judge who brought Jacob Zuma's argument that he was being charged by the NPA for political reasons, a judgment that was later overturned by the SCA. He's not talking to us necessarily about that matter, but he's got a new book out, and it's called Who Really Ordered Chris Hani's Assassination. He will be joining us to tell us about that book. Valush may have been the triggerman, but who was the mastermind?
This is EWN.
OR Tambo International Airport assures that the lights will stay on for G20 arrivals, and commissioners have called out Brown Mhodzi at the Madlanga Commission. Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. Airports Company South Africa says it does not expect any electricity supply disruptions at OR Tambo International Airport as visitors begin arriving for the G20's Leaders Summit. The airport is set to experience high passenger volumes from today. In recent weeks, OR Tambo has experienced several power interruptions that affected operations and left many travelers stranded. The Transport Department yesterday held a media briefing to highlight the readiness of ports of entry to receive G20 delegates. Alfara Mushwana reports.
The OR Tambo International Airport, the Waterkloof Air Force Base and the Lanseria International Airport are the official entry points for G20 heads of state. But just 2 days ago, OR Tambo was plunged into darkness during an unexpected power outage believed to have been caused by an Eskom supply failure. Transport Minister Barbara Creasy says there's no sign that this will happen again, but says if it does, backup systems will kick in immediately.
Should power be lost to OR Tambo, we do have backup generators that will take a few seconds to kick in, and they will provide uninterrupted power supply.
She says the aviation sector has carried out all the required safety inspections in preparation to welcome G20 delegates. Alfa Ramshwana, Eyewitness News at the OR Tambo International Airport.
Suspended Police Minister Senzo Mchunu's Chief of Staff Cedric Nkabinde says he's in the same WhatsApp group with KZN Provincial Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi in the fight against police interference. Nkabinde says this is the reason his fallout with Mkhwanazi has left him emotional, because they both resisted what he calls the capture of the police and Independent Police Investigative Directorate. He told Parliament's ad hoc committee investigating police corruption yesterday that the interference was by individuals like forensic investigator Paul O'Sullivan, who he says was in charge of police operations. Babalondenze reports.
Cedric Nkabinde has told the ad hoc committee that he had a close relationship with Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi and they were on the same side in the fight against police interference. He says forensic investigator Paul O'Sullivan basically ran IPID and other law enforcement structures, and dockets that involve him are gathering dust in the NPA.
He's running SAPS, he's running NPA. You know what General Mkhwanazi is reporting about the state capture? This is the real state capture.
He says his fallout with Mkhwanazi since the directive to disband the PKTT by Senzo Mchunu has affected him.
When we talk about this thing, I become very emotional what is happening between me and Mkhwanazi, because I was fighting this with him. Me and Mkhwanazi, we are one WhatsApp group.
Nkabinde yesterday also distanced himself from Mchunu's directive to disband the PKTT, denying any involvement. Babalondenze, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
In Pretoria, controversial Northwest businessman Brown Mhodzi claims the unprecedented July 6th press conference by Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi was orchestrated with other senior officers. Mhodzi underwent cross-examination by the Madlanga Commission's chief evidence leader, Advocate Matthew Chaskelson, yesterday and is set to resume this morning. The controversial Northwest businessman was accused of lying to the Commission under oath, Oren Singh reports.
According to Brown Mhodzi, KZN Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi is part of a police mafia who colluded ahead of his July 6th briefing. He alleged that Mkhwanazi, together with National Police Commissioner Fani Masimola and Crime Intelligence Head Dumisani Khumalo, worked together in constructing Mkhwanazi's July speech.
General Mkhwanazi, during the press conference, he was very angry about the arrest of Lieutenant General Khumalo. I may not be able to know everyone who was involved, but I can assure you General Khumalo, General Mkhwanazi and General Masamula orchestrated that press conference.
On the 6th of July, Mkhwanazi broke rank during a press conference in Durban, claiming the criminal justice system in Gauteng was captured by certain business people and drug cartels working in cahoots with senior cops and politicians. Arun Singh, Eyewitness News.
And Israeli airstrikes on Gaza have killed 27 people, with Israel and Hamas accusing each other of violating the fragile ceasefire in the Palestinian territory. The strikes are among the deadliest in Gaza since the truce entered into force last month. 14 people were killed yesterday in Gaza City in the north and 13 in the Khan Yunis area in the south. The Israeli military says it was striking Hamas after militants opened fire towards an area where troops were operating in the south in violation of the ceasefire agreement. Hamas has denied the accusation and denounced the attacks as a dangerous escalation that could jeopardize the truce. Gold is trading at $4,078.82 an ounce. The rand is at 17.20 to the dollar, 22.46 to the pound, 19.82 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $63.70 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got an accident in Sunninghill. This one is along the N1 North. It happened near the Baklu turn-off delays coming out of Malibongwe Drive. There's also queuing traffic on the Mike 1 North between Boysons Road and the Crown and the Empire Road exit.
And in your sport, Mitchell Stark says he misses the WACA ahead of the first Ashes, which will be played at the Perth Stadium instead. Morocco sweep the CAF Awards, while Orlando Pirates have been sanctioned by the governing body, and Italy overcome Austria in the Davis Cup as they march into the semi-finals.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng with afternoon thunder showers expected. Johannesburg is at 14 degrees, peaking at 24. Pretoria, 15 and 26. Vereeniging, 16 and 25. The top story in EWN this hour. Airports Company South Africa says it does not expect any electricity supply disruptions at OR Tambo International Airport as visitors begin arriving for the G20 Leaders Summit.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
All eyes, of course, indeed on what is meant to be our most secure point of entry as G20 leaders descend on South Africa. The US, though, warning against a statement. The Washington basically opposing any document that is going to be released at the G20 summit about the consensus that will have been reached here. So it makes it really, really interesting. You remember, of course, the US President Donald Trump has been hosting the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. This is Prince Mohammed bin Salman. Yesterday, again, expressing some disappointment with South Africa's policies. Have a listen.
Are you aware of relocation flights to South Africa that are taking place right now?
Which flights?
There are relocation flights that are taking place. Some Palestinians are being charged up to $2,000
I'm not going to South Africa for the G20 because I think their policies on the extermination of people are unacceptable. So I'm not going, so I won't refer to anything having to do with South Africa. South Africa has behaved extremely badly. But I will say that when you look at the F-35 and you're asking me, is it the same? I think it's going to be pretty similar, yeah. You know,
how will that
this is a great ally, and Israel's a great ally.
He, of course, was talking there about the sale of those fighter jets to Saudi Arabia. And he's asked a question specifically about South Africa, and then, of course, he deflects from that. So, very clear at this point, U.S. President not coming to South Africa. But life continues in Johannesburg, the airport's company. South Africa saying, AXA that is, it does not expect any disruptions at OR Tambo International Airport as our international guests land on our shores. The other thing perhaps to note about US President Donald Trump speaking yesterday is that he now says, at the urging of the Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, he's going to intervene in the situation in Sudan.
I'll tell you, His Majesty would like me to do something very powerful having to do with Sudan. It was not on my charts to be involved in that. I thought it was just something that was crazy and out of control. But I just see how important that is to you and to a lot of your friends in the room. Sudan, and we're going to start working in Sudan. I didn't think that that was one that was going to be so easy to do, but we're going to start working.
Wasn't that important to him, Donald Trump says. This has been called, of course, the epicenter of global suffering by no less than the humanitarian chief of the UN, Tom Fletcher, describing the situation unfolding in Sudan. We've explained it to you once or twice. Donald Trump saying, I didn't really think I was going to have to deal with that, but fine, if that's what His Majesty wants me to do, I might have a look at it.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Let's bring things closer to home now. After a 2-week verification process, you remember the South Gauteng High Court ordered the city of Johannesburg to issue permits after those informal traders had been removed of pavements and the streets of the CBD, and they were told to allocate stalls to them. And so what they had to do was obviously go through the applicants, the would-be informal traders who would take up those stalls. And that vetting process, according to the Joburg Mayor, Dada Morero, says a number of those who were trading were doing so illegally, many of them undocumented. And he did, of course, also acknowledge, though, that the city is going to have to explore innovative solutions to find more spaces where they can trade. But he essentially also acknowledges that many of those who would have wanted to are simply ineligible.
Those that did not show up, it means the following: they're illegal and undocumented. And we did say to Syrian at the court that once you provide us with a list, provide ID numbers and passport numbers of those individuals. So the list of over 500, bulk of it did not have ID numbers and passports, which then confirms that the reason they did not come through is because they are illegal and undocumented. So as we're doing verification, Home Affairs Department was also here. So it's unlikely that when I know I'm undocumented, to hand myself over. So they've disappeared somewhere into thin air.
You're with Bongani Bingwa.
702 weekday mornings, 6 to 9 a.m.
13 after 7, things you need to know at this hour. Some concerns being raised about children in the Western Cape, particularly in farming regions, some showing signs of impaired cognitive function. This is believed to be due to ongoing exposure to agricultural pesticides, according to a new study. Researchers detected multiple harmful chemicals in nearly all children tested, linking higher pesticide levels to weaker executive functioning skills such as memory, focus, and self-control. That is a huge, huge story. The ANC says former Minister Dr. Malusi Gigaba is going to be stepping aside from his party roles after he was formally charged with corruption related to that Transnet locomotive deal. UKZN putting some distance between themselves now and the researcher Mary de Haas. They've clarified she's not an employee or a professor at the institution, despite being referred to as such during her testimony before that parliamentary committee. Air traffic control in somewhat of a crisis. Senior executives at Air Traffic Navigation Systems say they have received over 130 million rand in bonuses in just 2 years, despite the agency failing to update critical flight procedure systems, causing suspensions, costly flight diversions, and raising some safety concerns. As I said earlier, the US officially warning South Africa through a diplomatic note not to issue any joint declaration or outcome document from the G20 summit in Johannesburg unless Washington agrees to it, but they are not here. It really is at times quite spectacular, the arrogance of this Trump White House.
702. Up next.
The big interview.
EWN Traffic.
All right, 7:15. Let's catch up with the roads. Amo, what are you seeing?
Well, Bongani, motorists around the south of Joburg are set to expect delays around the area. This is due to those road closures ahead of the G20 summit happening over the weekend. As a result, the Golden Highway is closed off to traffic completely between Rancho Road and the Soweto Highway, as well as Boyson's Reserve Road between Crownwood Road and Nasrec Road. However, if you're traveling in Sunning Hill, that accident we spoke about earlier has been cleared. Traffic is now flowing, but we still have got a bit of a hold up coming out of Malibongo Drive due to peak time delays. More updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
702.
The big interview.
With Bongani Bingwa.
16 minutes after 7 o'clock. Onto this now. We all know the names. We know the date, the 10th of April, 1993. Janus Valus walks up to Chris Hani's driveway in Dawn Park on the East Rand and shoots 4 times. Clive Darby Lewis, the politician, supplied the gun, the silencer, perhaps even the motive. Both men convicted. Valus paroled in 2022 after 29 years on the inside. For most South Africans, you could say case closed. But retired High Court Judge Chris Nicholson says that story is only the cover page. In his new book, Who Really Killed Chris Hani, he argues Valus was the shooter, but not the architect. Someone far more powerful wanted Hani gone and made sure the real plotters were never touched. He joins us now because of this new book, Who Really Killed Chris Hani, to explain his thoughts and his arguments. A very good morning to you and welcome to 702 Breakfast.
Thank you very much for having me on your show.
What prompted you to write this book?
You know, years ago, I had a career as a human rights lawyer, and the first book I wrote was called Permanent Removal, which was about the killing of the Cradock Four, that is Matthew Goniwe and the other 3. And I was pleased that they reopened that inquest, I hope, because of the revelations in my book. But having written that during my retirement, I live close to a road, Chris Hani Road, and I kept thinking to myself, you know, it's time the truth was told about Chris Hani. So that led me then to investigating, you know, who were the real architects behind his death.
There's always been speculation about who those might be. We all know Valus pulled the trigger, Darby Lewis egging him on, supplying the weapons. But you say that's only really what we see on the surface.
Absolutely. And, you know, one sees them as puppets and one wants to try and find out who really had a motive to kill Chris Hani. You know, Chris Hani was obviously a fervent communist who believed in the tenets of the Freedom Charter, which included a redistribution of the wealth of South Africa. So clearly there were various possible persons who didn't want that to take place. There would be, of course, the captains of industry, and one mustn't forget that Valus drove a car provided by a businessman called Peter Jackson. And if one looked in the docket, you know, the file in which the statements are for the case, one finds an instruction from the security police saying, don't follow up Peter Jackson, the businessman who provided the car that Janus Valus drove on that fatal day.
We'll come to that in a moment. And that, apropos the apartheid securocrats or even big business. But part of the speculation over the years was that perhaps there might even have been collusion from inside the ANC. What's your take on that?
Absolutely. And one is fortunate that old Afrikaner intelligence officers, when they rode into the sunset, after 1994, they all put pen to paper and wrote what they recall of those fatal days. And one man by the name of Schulte has written a book in which he devotes quite a lot of space to messages that flowed between, the old intelligence agencies about plotting the killing of Chris Hani. They include, of course, a provision that his security guards were to be given off that day to facilitate the killing. So, of course, they wouldn't be there to protect him. And as one knows, after Nelson Mandela was going to leave, there was a lot of jockeying for the position. And on the one side, Chris Hani was a firm favorite. And in my book, I relate how Nelson Mandela favored him as his successor. And then there was another camp led by Thabo Mbeki. So there was keen rivalry between the two factions. And obviously, a motive to get rid of Hani meant that the Thabo Mbeki faction would be triumphant, as indeed it was. So there is that evidence as well.
But if I may challenge you a little on this, I remember Richard Klein, the former Time magazine editor, who was also a biographer of Nelson Mandela, talking about how lax the security measures of the ANC were in the build-up to the 1994 elections, how he often was able to walk into Madiba's home without much of an interruption, and that kind of thing was all too common amongst ANC leaders as they were finding their feet back in South Africa, some, of course, returning from exile, some returning from jail. Could it have been as simple as that, rather than an orchestrated plot to make sure his bodyguards were not available to protect him that day?
Yeah, it could be that. And, Chris Hani did complain that his security guards, the detail was not very efficient, and he asked for more protection. So there's always a possibility of laxity being part of it. The problem is these messages seem to have arranged for them not to be on duty that day. So, that points to a sort of intention to have him unprotected on the 10th of April.
I said Richard Klein, I meant Richard Stengel, the former Time editor. Well, who inside the ANC then would have wanted this? I mean, can you give us the names?
Well, I prefer people to read the book, and find out, but they're definitely, while I can't say there's conclusive proof, there are strong pointers, to people was it Luthuli House then, I think, who were plotting this, and the intelligence agencies within the ANC were sending messages to the old apartheid intelligence agencies, and the plot is there. So, I would like people to be fascinated enough to buy the book and find out.
Well, of course. I mean, you make the arguments quite clearly in the book in much more detail than you can in an interview like this. But for our purposes, it's important that you say it rather than I do. Give us a sense of how those decisions were being made in the ANC, particularly around his protection, and just who stood to benefit from that. Maybe give us that hint then. You must say it, though, rather than I.
No. Well, there was a hit squad in the ANC. I think it was called the Omega. It's the last letter of the Greek alphabet.
Correct.
The Alpha and the Omega. It was called the Omega hit squad, and it I think was up to no good. So the probabilities favor that was the unit that was involved, and it was under the leadership of various people there at Luthuli House. So if one is going to give credence to these messages sent in the intelligence agencies there, and, one doesn't, as a lawyer, one wants to say, why would they want to lie? And, what is the point of lying? Maybe they're trying to point suspicions away from Valus and them, I don't know. But it seems to be fairly clear that there was quite a lot of action there in the ANC camp.
One of the things that's always been a mystery, I suppose, is witnesses, neighbors at the time saying at least 2 cars were seen speeding from the scene, one of them even with tinted windows, and yet the official version has always been that Valus was a lone assassin in that Ford Laser. Did much come out of that witness testimony?
Again, that was something that was avoided, because if there were 2 killers, there might be other agencies involved. But what I found particularly fascinating was that Janusz Valus was part of an organization called the South African Institute of Maritime Research, which, and it came, my information was discovered in a particularly fascinating way when Janusz Valus and them applied, for amnesty from the TRC. An investigator was given the Chris Hani file from the intelligence communities, and in that file, this investigator, Christelle Terblanche, found 12 documents which didn't relate to Chris Hani's murder at all, but related to murders in the 60s. I don't know if you recall, Dag Hammarskjöld, the United Nations Secretary General,
yes,
died in a plane crash, and Patrice Lumumba, the Congolese premier, was killed. So these documents related to those killings, and they related to this mysterious organization, the South African Institute of Maritime Research, which it turns out to be a front company for British intelligence, So the whole thing becomes very much more murky. And one might ask, what was British or American intelligence got to do with Chris Hani? But if Chris Hani was trying to redistribute the wealth in South Africa, British and American intelligence are there to protect British and American companies. And if their profits and their dividends are going to stop flowing, back to England or America, that's a very serious case for them. So if this was a secret front company for British intelligence, which it seems to be, then one sees, and if Janusz Valus was a member of that organization, that adds another dimension to the killing. So I don't know if you ever saw a film, Murder on the Orient Express, where there are various people involved, So it's possible that there were various agencies who found Chris Hani to be, a menace, because, South Africa has the world's, best resources, and Russia comes afterwards, and yet we have, this Gini coefficient, which measures the gap between rich and poor. We have the worst in the world. So, we have a huge imbalance between rich and poor. And at the time of independence, I think people were happy for political power to move across to the ANC, but economic power was going to be a different story.
Not so much. Yeah, I mean, you started off this interview by referring to the Cradock Four, and even as we try to unearth that matter now, all these years later, there is a belief of some kind of deal having been struck, and this book perhaps points in that direction. Who Really Killed Chris Hani is an explosive new book by retired High Court Judge Chris Nicholson.
Smart Steve from Momentum, hello.
Smart Steve, my daughter just turned 18, right? And now she's got a license and a boyfriend.
You're worried about her safety. With Momentum Safety Alert, she can access help 24/7.
Is that the emergency response version of Curry in a Hurry?
For sure. She can get help at the touch of a button for free.
Free? For all that and all?
Visit momentum.co.za or call 0860 006 784. Momentum Insure, keeping you safe on your journey to success. Momentum Insure is an authorized non-life insurer. T's and C's apply.
If you want a versatile SUV that's smart, efficient, and seriously advanced, meet the all-new BYD Sea Lion. 5 plug-in hybrid. That's the BYD Sea Lion 5 plug-in hybrid. It's the affordable SUV that gives you electric power for your everyday trips, fuel-powered backup for your longer drives, and premium tech everywhere you look. The BYD Sea Lion 5 is packed with cutting-edge technology, from advanced driver assist safety features to the groundbreaking DMI technology. The BYD Sea Lion 5 makes every drive smarter. Visit www.byd.com and pre-book your test drive today. BYD, build your dreams.
Calling all wedding planners and venues, restaurants, conference centers, and hotels. Do you need tables and chairs? Home in One has it all. Do you need cutlery, crockery, table linen, and restaurant equipment? Home in One has it all. Do you need tents, gazebos, or umbrellas? Home in One has it all. Affordable prices, the latest trends, with 2 branches in Pretoria and Johannesburg. Shop online at homein1.co.za, because we're your #1 choice. Home in One has it all.
For the first time on African soil, business leaders from across the globe are gathered for the B20 Summit in Sandton till the 20th November. On the agenda is inclusive growth and prosperity through global cooperation. Every day, the Clement Manatela Show will be in conversation with Nedbank to discuss all the news, views, and insights live from the B20 Summit. So tune in to 7:02 in conversation with Nedbank, proud sponsors of the B20 Summit. Nedbank is a licensed FSP and registered credit provider.
EWN Business.
Business news now. Muteo Khoripe, the private hospital group Life Healthcare, taking a hit after selling one of its units.
Yeah, Life Healthcare's earnings have taken a beating following the sale of its Life Molecular Imaging business earlier this year. Life Healthcare sold LMI to British subsidiary of American pharmaceutical giant Lantheus for 6.4 billion rand. In a trading update for the year ended in September, the company stated that it was able to return substantial funds to shareholders following the sales, around 4.5 billion rand. Now, during the reporting period, the group reported a strong trading performance, achieving overall revenue growth of between 5.5 and 6.5%, but the company's shares tanked 7% on Wednesday after the disposals of LMI in the current year and Alliance Medical Group for roughly 20 billion rand in the prior year, so not making as much as they used to.
Another smelter to cut jobs.
Yeah, the Glencore Merafe Chrome joint venture has confirmed that it plans to place its Wonderkop and Bushhoek smelters on care and maintenance and to start retrenching employees at these operations within the next few weeks. The venture has been reviewing its operating procedures and meeting with government departments and unions as well as employees to try to avoid the closure. South African ferrochrome smelters have been affected by high electricity costs, intense competition from China, and logistical issues here at home.
How many did we have in 1994? Let's not even go there. Where's the rand?
17 rand 20 against the US dollar, 19 rand 81 against the euro, and at 22 rand 44 cents against the British pound. Price of gold at $4,070 an ounce, while platinum is up more than 1% at $1,559. Brent crude now at $63.72 a barrel. More business after 8.
Straight to the news desk we go. Sfiso Zulu, can you give us an update on Dr. Malusi Gigaba?
Thanks, Bongani. Good morning. Well, the ANC parliamentarian and former minister is giving up his party political roles after being recently charged for corruption. Malusi Gigaba has voluntarily stepped aside from party activity, which includes his duties as National Executive Committee member. But he has not clarified how the step-aside decision will affect his parliamentary roles or his position as MP, saying the step-aside rule applies to ANC roles only. Gigaba appeared alongside 2 other MPs in court earlier this week who were former executives at freight agency Transnet for allegedly receiving kickbacks on locomotive deals when he was Public Enterprises Minister. Lindsay Tentlinga reports.
In a statement from the ANC, the party says Malusi Gigaba has taken a principled decision to step aside from his responsibilities without being prompted to do so in the wake of a corruption case involving Transnet tenders. This is not the first time Gigaba relinquishes his political roles amid scandal. He resigned as minister and MP in 2018 after a series of allegations related to state capture and a court ruling that he had lied under oath. Gigaba had remained out of the public eye until his return to Parliament last year. In a statement posted to his social media, Gigaba does not clarify whether he will step down from his role as one of two chairpersons of Parliament's Joint Standing Committee on Defence. He says parliamentary processes follow their own rules and will be managed accordingly. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News.
Social Development Minister Sisisi Tolashe says Social Security Agency SASA is turning the tide in stamping out corruption and fraud. The National Treasury has imposed additional conditions on its 8 billion rand annual allocation to pay grants. Tolashe told Parliament's Portfolio Committee yesterday that the reviews will be ongoing to ensure that all grant recipients are eligible. With all social relief of distress grant recipients now verified, SASA has told Parliament it's already sent out 150,000 notifications over the last 2 months for other grant recipients to present themselves for biometric verification. Tolashe says the measures that caused chaos in August and September with snaking queues at SASA offices are not meant to punish.
With faster monthly biometric verification and enhanced digital tools, we will continue to ensure that the SRD only benefit those who need it most.
Chair of the B20 Finance and Infrastructure Task Force, Sim Shabalala, has again criticized international credit ratings agencies amid growing concerns about a bias towards African countries. Shabalala, who is also the CEO of the continent's largest bank, is among many leading voices that have hit out about the mispricing of African debt. His comments have also been echoed by other captains of industry and some South African government officials at the B20 summit in Sandton. Now, this is the business leg of the G20 under South Africa's presidency, which comes to the end this week. Shabalala says the lack of transparency in credit ratings for African states can no longer be ignored.
The mispricing of African debt costs 2 percentage points of GDP. So if the continent is going to grow at 4.5% this year, it should be growing at 6.5%. I mean, that is why it's characterized by me and by many others as scandalous.
Although South Africa was recently given its first rating upgrade by S&P in nearly 2 decades, Shabalala said the country should be a few notches higher.
It should actually be rated BBB, which is investment grade, and would save South Africa 50 billion rand a year, in the medium term. Think of how many schools, how many bridges, how many roads could be built by doing that.
And US President Donald Trump is expected to host New York's Mayor-elect Zoran Mamdani for a meeting tomorrow. This will be the first gathering of the Republican leader with Mamdani, a Democratic socialist who won the mayoral election earlier this month. The meeting comes after Trump fiercely attacked the 34-year-old during his recent campaign, falsely claiming that Mamdani is a communist. As the first mayoral candidate to surpass the 1 million vote mark in New York since 1969, Mamdani campaigned on pledges of affordable housing and free rides on city buses. A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng with showers expected today. The temperatures are at lows of 15 and 16 degrees, peaking at highs between 24 and 26.
And in the traffic, roadworks are back up again along the N3. Both directions of this route are heavily backed up between Vincent Chabalala Road and the Baklu interchange. There's also queuing traffic due to more roadworks in Tembisa along the R21 North near Olifantsfontein Road.
The top story this hour, Malusi Gigaba is giving up his ANC roles after being recently charged for corruption.
Let's count backward. 5. Insurance. 4. Pineapple. 3. Insurance. 2. Pineapple. 1. You're under.
Pineapple FSP 48650 is underwritten by Omart Insure Limited, a licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP.
Progress builds. It moves, and it has a partner. That partner is Anglo-American. Together, we're building progress where it matters most across South Africa. With a 1 billion rand investment into education in our host communities, $15 million pledged to the Global Fund to support community-based health services, 1.6 billion rand in deals facilitated through our Impact Finance Network. And as a sponsor of B20 and G20, we're bringing that same spirit of partnership to a global stage, proving that when collaboration is real, progress moves faster. South Africa has a partner. Join the conversation on social media. Anglo-American, mining potential, building beyond.
You know what success looks like. Now discover why focus is the driving force behind every success story. Catch 702 in conversation with Momentum on The Money Show with Stephen Krutters every Thursday, discussing the science of success. Step into the mindset of top financial achievers and discover how your thinking, behavior, and focus can shape lasting financial success. That's 702 in conversation with Momentum. Thursdays on The Money Show with Stephen Krutters. Momentum, your journey to success on 702. Momentum is an authorized financial services and registered credit provider.
702.
WhatsApp Bongani on 072
702 1702.
Morning, Bongani. This Brian Mhodzi, really, he's just trying to survive whatever he can. Next thing, he's going to claim that he wants immunity from prosecution. I mean, this is a farce. Can we not get these people in a court of law and test their baseless allegations? This is ridiculous. This country, we are fast becoming a joke, and the international guests have arrived. Do you think they're not going to switch on the TV and see what's happening locally and then think, my goodness, did we upgrade these people financially only to see the rot that is still in society?
Morning, Mr. Bongani and the listeners. I remember the short clips that we used to see on TikTok when Brian Mhodzi was saying, I'm going to the commission. Hell will break loose. And is this... Brian Mhodzi must just stop playing with us. And so yesterday was right to call him Brian Mhodzi.
Morning, Bongani. This is Mhodzi here. For me, listening to Brian Mhodzi, I am not really surprised that he's chosen this insanity defense because he sounds insane. But I think it alludes to the fact that he's taking this from the politicians. You know, politicians in South Africa have taken advantage of people. They've said things that you would look and think, do you really believe that people are going to believe what you're saying? But it's like, this is what they do. You know, they say things that you think even a grade one would be like, no, that's not right. But it's been so much of a pattern that this guy has adopted it as a defense to just say the most outrageous things and hope people will believe it. Like politicians hope will believe all the things they say. Thank you.
Hi, Bongani. My cousin says Brian Mhodzi is trying to be the South African Raymond Reddington, concierge of information.
That is very high flattery indeed. Brian Mhodzi being Raymond Reddington. You remember, of course, that series, I think it's called The Blacklist, played so well by James Spader. No, not quite that level of intelligence, I'm afraid. I suppose really at some point, the less you say about this character, the better. I'm not sure about international guests looking at all of this. I think they might look at it with some bemusement, even amusement, but perhaps not so far as to say, oh my gosh, have we upgraded these rotten eggs? Have you seen who has been wined and dined at the White House just in the last few days? Donald Trump going so far as to say things happened. Things happened. Of course, the Saudi Arabian crown prince is accused of orchestrating the murder of a journalist, and even something like that doesn't seem to bother the US president. So I'm not quite sure anybody's going to come here and say we are the worst of the lot. It's just one of those things, as Trump would say, something happened.
702.
What's the question?
What's the question is brought to you by Outsurance. A chance for you to win 3,000 Rand in cash. First, 1,000 Rand for the answer, then a little later, 2,000 Rand if you can give us the question. SMS out to 45142 now, and you could save on your car insurance. If you don't, ask Outsurance for 500 Rand. Today's answer comes from Sam, who is in Kibble Park. Sam, please give us today's answer.
BBC.
BBC is today's answer. That's a tricky one. Sam, tell me, have you got yourself a quote from Outsurance?
I'm a member.
1,000 Rand is coming your way. All thanks to Outsurance and
Oh,
702.
thank you so much.
Thank you, Sam. You biscuit. His answer is BBC. What's the question? Call us if you know on 011 8830 702.
EWN Sport.
Now, Anthony Teixeira, in for Cindy Paluta, our colleague Africa Melane, said the most sacrilegious thing you could say about cricket earlier today. He was wondering what the fuss is about the Ashes.
Ooh.
Mawanda Mateza rightfully put him in his place. But what is the fuss about the Ashes?
I mean, I think that's a great question, to be honest with you. I'm sort of on Africa's side on this one. I think Test cricket has passed the sell-by date, in my opinion. We've had this conversation
when is Cindy
before.
coming back again?
Next week, Tuesday, she returns. But I think Test cricket in this day and age can't
Have you
hold
been
our
watching?
attention. Look, I think you talking about the India Proteas
Did you watch the India Protest test? Did you watch the test match that decided the championship?
Yeah, but part of the reason why the India Proteas test was so brilliant was because that wicket was falling apart. It didn't last the full 5 days. We do not have the attention span to watch a full 5 days of cricket. And I think it's past the sell-by date.
You and your pet,
Cassie.
Goldfish, perhaps, right?
I genuinely don't believe that this
Test cricket is alive and thriving, my friend.
If that's the case, why do we not see as many people at stadiums as we used to?
There were 39,000 people on Sunday when South Africa took that victory at Eden Gardens.
That's in the home of cricket. That's India. Where have you seen that elsewhere?
Go to Newlands for the Boxing Day test.
Okay.
Yeah, huge crowds. I mean, it always depends on who's playing.
100%.
And how well, the local side, the Proteas in our case, might be playing. I'm not going to argue with you that T20 and ODIs, the hit and giggle stuff, aren't more thrilling if you want, a quick reward. But to say Test cricket is past its sell-by date?
Hey, it's a controversial take.
I don't like you anymore. As my daughter used to say when she was younger, you're not my friend.
I'm so sorry.
Dad, you're not my friend. Then I know she's upset with me.
But yeah, we will start with cricket's oldest rivalry as it reignites Friday morning. The 74th Ashes set to begin in Australia. The first test is to be played at the Perth Stadium instead of the historic WACA, which no longer hosts men's international cricket. Although a part of that iconic venue will be part of this test with a drop-in pitch, which is composed from the same soil as the WACA. Pace bowler Mitchell Stark shared his thoughts on the difference between the two stadiums.
I miss the WACA. It's pretty swirly wind here. It's not really one direction. It kind of can be three directions each over. So it's a nice ground to play on. It's pretty even run up and whatnot.
The WACA was famous for particularly the speedsters. I wonder if this pitch is going to be like that.
Well, they did. They have played there before, and it's actually the second quickest pitch in world cricket. So they've managed to keep that going. So I don't think we're going to see a lot of spin. But let's move now to football, where Morocco swept the CAF Awards as their under-20 national team managed to pick up a National Team of the Year. Ashraf Hakimi won the Men's Footballer of the Year, and Ghazalane Chebek won the Women's Player of the Year. While Orlando Pirates' case against St. Eloi Lupopo has gone against them, the Soweto Giants receiving 2 fines, one for depriving the Congolese side of the necessary accreditations, and the other for spraying a noxious gas in the visitors' locker room. Well, after 2 years of construction, chaos and delays, Barcelona returned to their iconic stadium. UEFA has granted permission to the Spanish Giants to play the UEFA Champions League matches at the partially rebuilt Camp Nou, while Premier League leaders Arsenal will be ending their Visit Rwanda partnership at the end of the season. After 8 seasons, the partnership will come to an end after the increased scrutiny due to the DRC's accusations Rwanda is supporting the M23 militia, which has seized part of the country's mineral-rich east. While switching now to rugby, where Springbok wing Cheslin Colby insisted that the fine margins can be the difference in the encounters against Ireland, and he tried to explain why the Irish have had the upper hand in recent years.
In these games that are so close, you need to make sure you capitalize on each and every opportunity that's out there for you, and they've been doing that really well over the past few years, and it's a team that's well coached and has good structure to their game. So if you're not up for it on the day, they can definitely hurt you. But for us, not just focusing on us, but knowing what they can throw at us on the weekend.
The World Champs Match Day 23 will be announced this afternoon. Well, in case you missed it, World Rugby's disciplinary committee have rescinded Franco Mostrat's red card from the box win over Italy. And in tennis, Italy overcame Austria in the Davis Cup quarterfinals as they took a step closer to becoming the first nation to win 3 consecutive titles for 53 years. All this done without their top 2 seeds, Yannick Sinner and Lorenzo Musetti. Anthony Teixeira, Eyewitness News Sport.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
A lot of South Africans, when we have these kind of summits, often ask themselves, okay, but how does it affect me? How do I benefit?
B20 represents business. Business wants to see implementation, they want to see impact. And if we don't actually demonstrate that as the B20, C-suite people will lose interest.
Vadia is the B20 Sherpa.
Clements Maniatella.
9 to 12 on 702.
Take your leadership to the next level. Wits Business School, in partnership with France's top-ranked Kedge Business School, is launching the Wits Kedge MBA in Global Executive Leadership, a powerful new program designed for senior leaders ready to think globally and to lead with impact. Join the online information session on 20 November at 5:30 p.m. to discover how this world-class MBA can transform your career. Register now at wbs.ac.za. That's wbs.ac.za. The Wits Kedge MBA in Global Executive Leadership, shaping global leaders for a changing world.
As leaders in renewable energy finance, Nedbank has a track record spanning over 100 years. From pioneering large-scale solar and wind farms to financing complex energy infrastructure in emerging markets, Nedbank offers clients deep sector expertise, combined with the ability to navigate the unique challenges of Africa's just energy transition. See money differently. Nedbank. Nedbank is a licensed FSP and registered credit provider.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic is brought to you by Citroen. On 22nd November, experience Super Saturday when you book a test drive at your nearest Citroen dealership. Make your Saturday super. Roadworks everywhere, Amo.
Yes, Bongani, particularly on the N3 North. This is between Vincent Chabalala Road and the Baku interchange. There's also queuing traffic due to roadworks in the Tembisa area along the R21 North between right as you approach Olifantsfontein Road. Please be on the lookout there. While traveling on the N1 South in the city of Tshwane, delays approaching John Forster Drive. This is now due to an accident. Please be on the lookout there. More updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Man, I'm super tired of my car.
Super tired?
Super.
So why don't you take a break from it?
Like a holiday?
A super long holiday. Take it in another car.
Isn't that expensive?
No, not with the Citroen Super Saturday. You can test drive the C3 starting at 264,500 or Aircross SUV from 281,500 and take a 4-month payment holiday.
Oh, those are super cars.
On 22 November, make your Saturday super. Visit your nearest Citroen dealership or visit the website to book a test drive. T's and C's apply.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable. You receive up to 745,000 rand worth of legal services per year. Our range of plans include cover for you, your spouse, children, and extended family. Plans include cover for civil, criminal, and labor-related matters. Whether it's protection orders, gender-based violence, uncontested divorce, or poor service, your Clientele Legal lawyer will be there to assist you. Our services are convenient. Simply pick up the phone and call your lawyer or send us an email and we'll get back to you. All plans include a bail benefit of up to 5,000 rand and we'll go to the police station and pay it for you. Plus, Clientele Legal offers you 24-hour telephonic legal advice. SMS Legal to 48721. That's legal to 48721. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
Standard Bank and 702 have joined forces to bring you China Unlocked.
So obviously, rooibos is very unique to South Africa, that only grows in South Africa. So it's a real South African treasure that we can share with the rest of the world. And obviously, it's a very different tea to the teas that the Chinese are used to. What's interesting now is that the Chinese consumers has given rooibos their own name, and they call it Bosher Cha, which means basically basically the doctor's tea, which we are very happy with because it's so full of health properties. So that definitely helps the sale and, the trust in the product.
Don't miss China Unlocked on 702 Drive with John Perlman. Tuesdays on 702. Brought to you by Standard Bank Business and Commercial, an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
Sana. He said that till slip is like the N1 highway. It's long. Thanks, Captain Obvious. I got it. It's why I got the new discount battery rewards card that gets me 10% off instantly on over 140 brands. And then, does he not tell me over 140 brands means thousands of products? Exactly. That's why your discount till slip never look better. Inshallah, son.
702.
What's the question?
For 2,000 Rand in cash, all thanks to Assurance. Please tell me, what's the question? If the answer is the BBC. Let's go to Robbie in Soshanguve. Robbie, what's the question?
Good morning, Bongani. The question is, what is the name of the international news organization that the U.S. President Donald Trump is suing?
I'm afraid that's not the question, Robbie. Well tried, though. Yeah, indeed. Let's try... Who else? Babalo on the line. Babalo, what's the question?
Hi. On which channel did Princess Diana appear on in which she reveals that then Prince Charles had an affair and the affair was still continuing?
Yes, indeed. It was 1995 on this day. An interview with journalist Martin Bashir on the BBC. Then Princess Diana spoke candidly about her marriage to Prince Charles. Congratulations, Babalo. 2,000 Rand is coming your way. All thanks to Assurance and 702. Let's remind you of this. It was such a big moment.
Do you think Mrs. Parker Bowles was a factor in the breakdown of your marriage?
Well, there were 3 of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded.
You could spend 10 minutes waiting for that file to download, or get a 10-minute quote from Outsurance that could save you thousands on your car insurance. For his 2024 Ford Ranger, 57-year-old Andy now pays only 1,083 Rand a month. And for her 2020 Hyundai Tucson, 48-year-old Felicity pays just 836 Rand a month. Ready to get more out of your car insurance? SMS out to 45142. That's out to 45142. Outsurance, licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
At Isuzu, we know every delivery, every kilometer, and every load is building something bigger. This truck month, set your business up for success with special deals across the Isuzu N and F-Series ranges. Don't get left behind. Speak to your Isuzu truck specialist or call 08600 Isuzu and secure your truck month deal today. Isuzu, with you for the long run. T's and C's apply.
At Auto & General, we understand your business is built on more than just vehicles. It's your stock, tools and equipment, and the premises where you work. Auto & General Business Insurance is designed for businesses like yours, protecting your assets against fire, theft, storms, and other unexpected events. To protect your livelihood, visit autogen.co.za and get an obligation-free business insurance quote. Auto & General, never not there. Auto & General is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's and C's online.
For the first time on African soil, business leaders from across the globe are gathered for the B20 Summit in Sandton till the 20th November. On the agenda is inclusive growth and prosperity through global cooperation. Every day, the Clement Manatela Show will be in conversation with Nedbank to discuss all the news, views, and insights live from the B20 Summit. So tune in to 702 in conversation with Nedbank. Proud sponsors of the B20 Summit. Nedbank is a licensed FSP and registered credit provider.
702.
702. What's gone viral?
With Kabazela.
All right, let's catch up with the world of viral content. Kabazela.
Good morning to you, Bella.
Are you going out like that?
I would never do such a thing. So this video that we are talking about is a mother holding the hands of her 2 children, walking to school, like, any normal person would do. But she's wearing a towel on her head, so she's obviously washed her hair, and she's got a towel on her head, and she's in her gown and slippers. And she's walking the kids to the front of the school, just like that. come up with a lot of criticism from people saying, how do you walk in public like that? How do you set an example for your children like that? Some people saying, well, maybe she just feels comfortable like that. She maybe had a morning where she was trying to get ready in time and time slipped away from her and she just had to go out of the house like that. So my question this morning to our 702 family, is it ever acceptable to leave the house in garments or clothing other than, acceptable clothing? So should you go out in, maybe you're going to wear your pajama pants, maybe your slippers, or a towel on your head and go out in public? Maybe you're just going to go to the garage shop quickly to get a little ice cream because you feel like something.
Not in a gown. Not in a gown. Not with your towel. Not with your curlers. No.
People do.
No.
But people do.
No. Not
so
in
why?
Your slippers.
Why do they do it?
No. It's bedroom wear, Kabazela. No. What's your take? Let us know. That's what's gone viral with Kabazela.
702 Feedback
with Rupfiwa Kone.
Rupfiwa, moms are under pressure. There's so much to do. Get the kids ready. Get them to school.
But there's always time to wear a t-shirt and a short.
Thank you very much.
And leave the house.
Thank you very much.
In decent form.
Thank you very much. You've seen this video, and
yes, I have seen it. It was distasteful.
You didn't like it?
No, I didn't.
No sympathy.
We shouldn't do that. It's pajamas for your home, in the comfort of your own home with your family, and that's enough. We don't need to know.
All right. What other feedback do you have? What do we need to know?
Bongani, general criticism is coming through for Mary de Haas. People are sharply criticizing her, calling her testimony unreliable and gossip, especially as she refuses to name her sources. And likewise with Brown Mhodzi as well. The testimony, his testimony has been dismissed. People are calling him a conspiracy-like theorist, taking us down a path that we don't want to be in. So he is also quite unreliable. And that's just the general consensus about those two.
All right. And of course, there's this new book out by former Judge Chris Nicholson, Who Really Killed Chris Hani. Add to your Christmas reading list. I think it's one of those that's going to be debated for some time to come. Let's go to the news desk.
This is EWN.
What will the Reserve Bank's last rate decision for the year be? And a Miss Universe contestant falls off stage. Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. All eyes are on the Reserve Bank today as economists are split on the repo rate decision in the final meeting of the Monetary Policy Committee for the year. The MPC will wrap up its deliberations on the central bank's benchmark policy rate later this afternoon, and some economists have labelled it as the conclusion of a period marked by elevated uncertainty and market volatility. Nowukayam Dambo takes a look.
While 2025 was expected to be turbulent, economists at FNB say the path to a 7% repo rate was initially projected to be smooth. However, external shocks from the new US administration's tariff policies and South Africa's fraught budgeting process disrupted this path, prompting a pause in March. Despite these headwinds, inflation surprised to the downside and the rand held steady, allowing the MPC to resume rate cuts in May and July. While some market participants think the next rate cut could be as early as this November meeting, FNB says the MPC is more likely to hold the rate steady. The Bureau for Economic Research says if the SARB does cut the repo rate, it doesn't mean we'll see consecutive interest rate declines in the next couple of meetings. The latest decision comes after inflation inched up marginally to 3.6% in October from 3.4% in September, which is still some way above the new inflation target of 3%. Nogukanyam Dambo, Eyewitness News.
Transport Minister Barbara Creasy has assured domestic travellers this week that their trips will not be affected or delayed by the increased air traffic caused by G20 arrivals. International delegates attending the multinational event are expected to begin arriving this morning, with most scheduled to depart on Sunday and Monday. Although air restrictions will be implemented over the weekend, the Transport Department stressed that domestic commercial flights will not be affected. Creasy held a media briefing yesterday today to give an update in the aviation sector's readiness to receive international delegates. Alfara Mushwana has more.
Transport Minister Barbara Creasy says air traffic restrictions will be in place across Gauteng on Saturday and Sunday. This measure is aimed at preventing unauthorized flights and keeping the airspace under strict surveillance. While the restrictions will limit airplane movement, Creasy says domestic travelers should worry not.
While we are expecting all of the heads of state to enter the country, we are not expecting disruptions in commercial flights, and scheduled commercial flights have been integrated into our overall plan to ensure that ordinary citizens who might want to travel at this time will not be inconvenienced.
She says after landing, G20 delegates will be directed through dedicated pathways to prevent them from mixing with other travelers. Alpha Ramshwana, Eyewitness News at the OR Tambo International Airport.
Suspended Police Minister Senzo Mkhunu's Chief of Staff Cedric Nkabinde says he's in the same WhatsApp group with KZN Provincial Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi in the fight against police interference. Nkabinde says this is the reason his fallout with Mkhwanazi has left him emotional, because they both resisted what he calls the capture of the police and independent investigative directorate. He told Parliament's ad hoc committee investigating police corruption yesterday that interference was by individuals like foreign investigator Paul O'Sullivan, who he says was in charge of police operations. Babalo Ndenza reports.
Cedric Nkabinde has told the ad hoc committee that he had a close relationship with Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi and they were on the same side in the fight against police interference. He says forensic investigator Paul O'Sullivan basically ran IPID and other law enforcement structures, and dockets that involve him are gathering dust in the NPA.
He's running SAPS, he's running NPA. You know what General Mkhwanazi is reporting about the state capture? This is a real state capture.
He says his fallout with Mkhwanazi since the directive to disband the PKTT by Senzo Mkhunu has affected him.
When we talk about this thing, I become very emotional what is happening between me and Mkhwanazi, because I was fighting this with him. Me and Mkhwanazi, we are one WhatsApp group.
Nkabinde yesterday also distanced himself from Mkhunu's directive to disband the PKTT, denying any involvement. Babalo Ndenza, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
And a Miss Universe contestant is recovering after falling off stage during the pageant. Miss Jamaica Gabrielle Henry was taken away on a stretcher on Tuesday after she fell during the preliminary evening gown round. And this was the moment before the shocking fall.
Gabrielle aspires to be Miss Universe and a political ambassador for the visually impaired.
The Miss Universe Jamaica organization says she is not suffering from any life-threatening injuries and she's expected to recover. This year's pageant got off to a rocky start with drama after Miss Mexico spoke out following an argument with the pageant executive, and several contestants, including the reigning Miss Universe, followed her out of the venue in solidarity. Gold is trading at $4,069.55 an ounce. The rand is at 17.19 to the dollar, 22.44 to the pound, 19.80 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $63.76 a barrel.
And in the traffic in Greenside, there's been an accident on Berry Herzog. It happened right near Towner Road. It's causing delays. There's also queuing traffic in Melville along Jan Smuts Avenue. That's due to an accident reported right near Melville Drive. Please be on the lookout there.
And in your sport, Springboks announced their match day 23 for the Irish Test later this afternoon. The Ashes will get started in the early hours of Friday morning as Australia look to retain the urn for a fourth consecutive series. And in football, the 2026 FIFA World Cup playoff draws take place today in Zurich.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng with afternoon thundershowers expected. The temperatures will peak at highs between 24 and 26 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. All eyes are on the Reserve Bank today as economists are split on the repo rate decision in the final meeting of the Monetary Policy Committee for the year.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
So much to respond to. Are you following the various processes that are looking at allegations of particularly criminality within law enforcement. Brown Mhodzi, the so-called Northwest businessman fixer, to face more questions from the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. Remember, he'd said he would sing an aria. He was going to sing like a canary. Well, now his statements are being tested and he's not able to back up a whole bunch of them. On the other hand, are you following the ad hoc committee in Parliament? I keep repeating the profound change that occurred after the 2024 general elections and what that meant for the strengthening of our democracy. And so you're seeing all these processes filled with different members of different political parties, particularly within Parliament. You're seeing the same thing in Scopa, for example, as they've been investigating the Road Accident Fund. All of them now accountability measures working as they were designed to do so. Does that give you hope despite the extent of the rot that you are hearing? Is there a sense that, well, at least we're getting to the bottom of it, at least we're airing it out, at least what happened under the cover of darkness has now come to the light? Would that be a positive way to interpret it? Muteo, you're nodding vigorously there?
Yeah, I think for me, as a citizen anyway, it just feels like the screws are a bit tighter. It feels like, especially Parliament, people are sitting up now instead of being in a slumber and actually asking the right questions, representing constituents and the citizens of this country. It definitely does feel that way.
And then, because we South Africans love that exceptionalism thing that we like to do about ourselves, but isn't it also encouraging that that's the kind of accountability you really see, never mind elsewhere on the continent, but indeed around the world? That's not something that you often see, where a country will expose its underbelly in quite that way. So whatever negatives may be taken out of it, perhaps there are some positives to think about. Kabazela wants to know, if you are going to go out, must you always be dressed in a particular way? It comes after a video went viral of what appears to be a mom dropping her little ones at school. She has her head, she's got a towel around her head, as one might do after, I don't know, washing your hair, and wearing a dress that looks like a nightgown. And many sympathizing with her, saying, it's tough to be a mom. You've got to get the kids ready. You've got to get them fed. You've got to get them dressed. You've got to get them washed. Comfort is what matters for her. She's not dressed inappropriately at all. Or do you look at that and say, come on. You know, you go to the little convenience store, the little garage shop at your local filling station, right? And you see people walking in on a Sunday morning wearing their nightgowns, wearing their dukes and their slippers. Muteo, here we have a comment?
No, not particularly about this, just generally people getting dressed appropriately. There's a reason why there's leisure wear, tracksuits and things like that. Yes, that's not nearly formal, but look decent. I still get checked by my own wife to say,
you're not going out like that.
There's no way.
So here's the thing. The counter argument would be that for most guys, we can sleep in our tracksuits and get up from bed and go to the shop and nobody would be none the wiser or any the wiser. But with ladies...
But Bongani, I don't imagine you'd be walking into the garage with your gown and slippers.
Yes, of course. Yeah, no. Amo, any space for this? Any sympathy? Busy mom?
No.
Work-life balance?
Also, you have to always prepare for something, for the unknown, right? If you go to school, you're dropping off your child and something happens along the way, you need to speak to the teacher, you need to speak to someone very quickly. How are you taken seriously if you are dressed in a nightgown?
Also, I'm just thinking of the poor kids, eh?
They couldn't be bothered. They're happy. They are dressed. They look nice. They are neat. Their hair is done. They couldn't be bothered.
So why are we bothered?
Because, Bongani, we are adults. As we should.
Let the woman wear her nightgown if that's what she wants to go out.
And then she needs to address me as the teacher in her nightgown.
Why not?
And I must show up to school also in my nightgown because it's my comfortable wear, and I'm a busy mom. I'm also a teacher. I had to get my kids ready, and you know what? I couldn't do anything else. I had to show up to school in my nightgown.
All right, I'm playing devil's advocate here, but interesting to hear your views, 702 Land.
Good morning, 702 family. Look, I think we can all agree that there's never a reason to leave the house with a gown on in pajamas. No, never. There's always time, as Talagela said, to, put on a shirt, put on shorts. But the one of the towel with wet hair, as a natural hair girly, sometimes, and I do this when I'm going to get my braids done, because I wash my hair and then I section it and I clip it up, and then I leave the house with the jaws, those little clips in my hair, because I'm going to go get my hair done. I'm going to have it braided. If I leave it out, it's just going to shrink and get tangled again. So y'all leave me. If you want to judge me in these streets, you're welcome to.
You know what is Kabazela is saying on e-hail industry? There's a lady, I think in 2 days back, she requested she was wearing a gown and a nightdress. And then I was like, no, I don't transport people wearing like that. And they're gonna be a driver gonna accept that trip. He went there. He didn't want to transport the lady. The lady sent a message to Bolt and said the driver was sexually harassing her, and the driver got blocked permanent. The story happened yesterday. He got blocked permanent. So even me, I don't feel free with somebody wearing like that.
Hi, Bongani. Still in Centurion. The other day, I think 2 days ago, I saw a lady at Mall of Africa wearing her pajamas. She had money in a package. I suppose she stays around there, and she was just rushing. And I shook my head because she was very pretty, and I thought we discussed this thing that people can't go to a mall wearing their pajamas. Yeah, people still do it, man.
People still do it indeed. What are your thoughts? Is there ever justification for people going around in public wearing their bedroom wear? Is there ever justification for that? Let's talk.
You're with Bongani Bingwa on 702.
Taking your calls on 011-883-0702.
All right, Tasneem is in Randburg. What are your thoughts?
So I'm a mom of 3 busy young children, and this is my tip to all the ladies out there. You get along. I don't know if you've ever seen Muslim ladies wearing these long kaftans or kurtas, as they would call it. I promise you, it's the most comfortable thing in the whole wide world. You get the prettiest one, no effort required. You throw that over, go where you need to go, come back and take it out, and no one is going to judge you. But I do agree, it is a bit off to see people in pajamas, but no judgment because each to their own.
Each to their own, says Tasneem. Yeah, I just don't know if it's the best foot forward, but, if somebody feels that that's what they choose because their busy lifestyles won't allow or don't give them the time to do anything else, who are we to judge?
Good morning, Bongani. I have to agree with you that, garments that are supposed to be for the bedroom, they should remain there. And it's a very common thing here in the townships where people just walk around in their pajamas and gowns. And that's why you'd find that in some garages, they would even put signs outside to say, you're not allowed in if you are in your pajamas, gowns, or slippers. I mean, some businesses have to now do that because people find it somehow appropriate to walk in their gowns in public. Oh gosh, Bongani, this is Pete from Tembisa. Nice show.
Morning, Bongani. Have you seen them nowadays with their bonnets? Yo. It needs to come to an end. With their bonnets, with their gowns, with their slippers. On slippers for the house? South Africa.
With their bonnets? Remind me, which ones are the bonnets again?
The one you wear on your head.
For sleep, to keep people,
for your hair.
I have seen that. Yes, I have seen that.
Mm-hmm.
Confession time?
Yeah.
I have been known to wear slippers, those leather slippers, like Woolies, and a tracksuit though, to the shops. No?
I think, what, she's complaining more about the entire look.
Yeah.
It just makes it worse.
No, don't let Bongani get away with me. That is also not allowed.
It's not allowed? Slippers.
Because you know what it is? When you're wearing your slippers in the house.
Yeah.
And you quickly go run to go get milk or something. But you're wearing a tracksuit.
You've made a choice.
No?
No.
Matteo, can you see again?
Let's talk.
Hi, good morning. I would like to share a story about who I was impressed that my family knew. It is none other than Denzel Washington. I met him at my aunt's house in Cape Town, in Milnerton. I tried to call through, but the line didn't work.
Oh, we were talking earlier about Baron Trump suddenly being impressed with his dad because Cristiano Ronaldo came to dinner, and I wondered, who is somebody famous or interesting that you were surprised your parents knew?
EWN Traffic.
19 minutes after 8 o'clock, this EWN Traffic brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now. You could save on your car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Amo?
Bongani, we still have got delays on the N3, both directions between Vincent Chabalala and the Baklu turnoff. That's due to roadworks along this route. About a 20-minute hold-up. Heading towards Sunny Hill, please try to use the Mark 1 North instead. While traveling on the N1 South towards the Baklu turnoff, we've got more delays. An accident reported right near the Baklu turnoff, delays from Allendale Road. While heading towards the city of Tshwane, roadworks are causing those delays on the R21 North, right as you approach Olifantsfontein Road. There's also queuing traffic along the N1 North. This is now in the Randburg area, coming out of Bayers Medea Drive due to those roadworks that are causing delays there. So please be on the lookout and continue driving with care. More updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
You could spend 10 minutes waiting for that video to download, or get a 10-minute quote from Outsurance that could save you thousands on your car insurance. SMS out to 45142. Like 57-year-old Andy, who now pays only 1,083 Rand a month for his 2024 Ford Ranger. With Outsurance Comprehensive, you get 24/7 roadside assistance in case you break down, run out of petrol, lock your keys in the car, and more. Get used to getting more out. SMS out to 45142. After switching, 48-year-old Felicity now pays only 836 Rand a month for her 2020 Hyundai Tucson. Outsurance will either save you money on your car insurance or give you cash. That's right. If Outsurance can't beat what you're currently paying, ask them for 500 Rand. Make that 1,500 Rand if you've been claim-free and with the same insurer for 3 years. Savings or cash, you have nothing to lose. SMS out to 45142. That's out to 45142. Outsurance, licensed insurer and FSP. TC information online. Limits apply.
If you want a versatile SUV that's smart, efficient, and seriously advanced, meet the all-new BYD Sea Lion 5 plug-in hybrid. It's the affordable SUV that gives you electric power for your everyday trips, fuel-powered backup for your longer drives, and premium tech everywhere you look. The BYD Sea Lion 5 is packed with cutting-edge technology, from advanced driver assist safety features to the groundbreaking DMI technology. The BYD Sea Lion 5 makes every drive smarter. Visit www.byd.com and pre-book your test drive today. BYD, build your dreams.
The crazy store's got deals galore and everything you need. From tinsel presents, wrapping, and a star for your Christmas tree. We've got all sorts of games and sports, many toys to buy. Stationery, arts and crafts, come on and don't be shy. No need to panic shop, we're your one-stop Christmas spot. Your table will be dressed and you will not be stressed. When Christmas Eve is here, you'll want to sing and cheer. I got everything at the crazy store and I can't wait for next year.
Hey, you never know what you might find this Christmas.
With Outsurance, every day is Black Friday. Get a quote today, and if they can't beat your car insurance premium, ask them for 500 Rand cash. Make that 1,500 Rand if you've been claim-free with the same insurer for 3 years. With Outsurance, you could get monthly premium savings or at least 500 Rand cash. You've got nothing to lose. Get a quote. SMS out to 45142. So that's out to 45142. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP. T's, C's, and information online.
702, The World View.
With Adam Gilchrist.
Let's catch up now with news from elsewhere in the world. A very good morning to you, Adam. Let's start with this story, a deadly Russian attack on Ukraine.
Yeah, we know that now it's 26 people at least who were killed in this Russian missile and drone attack that hit 2 blocks of flats in the city of Ternopil. Now, Ternopil is not really featured. through the war because it's a long way from Russia. It's the other side of Ukraine. It's almost Poland, frankly. But 26 dead, 93 wounded, 18 of them children. Again, one of the deadliest strikes of the entire war, and it's heading towards 4 years, isn't it now? There were multiple Russian and drone missile attacks elsewhere. And this just before supposedly a Russian and American peace plan is being presented to Ukraine. A day later, Russia really wants this, but the peace plan apparently suggests that Ukraine gives up a load of land and reduces the size of its armed forces. And as a former deputy prime minister of Ukraine put it, just because you offer a leg to a crocodile doesn't mean they won't eat the rest of you. You can see where their thinking would be on that.
And let's stay with that kind of story. Adam, tell me about close encounters with a Russian spy ship.
Now, officially, Russia calls it an oceanic research vessel. Everyone in the rest of the world calls it a spy ship. It keeps popping up. It sort of has a look around. It doesn't seem to do very much, but it's what it's doing undersea that is the thing. So this Yantar has the second time in British waters. It's been all around the Baltic and the North Sea and the Mediterranean. And you kind of wonder what it's doing. And the thought is it's probably mapping undersea cables, possibly leaving sabotage devices, possibly. But at least having a good look at the infrastructure that keeps a country like the UK going, its links with the outside world. And what we know is that it's certainly entering British waters. And according to Royal Air Force pilots, if they've been shining lasers at their eyes in order to try to stop RAF surveillance aircraft getting too close, this Russian ship did indeed enter British waters, which it's not meant to do. And now all sorts of warnings are being fired off towards the Kremlin saying, we know what you're doing. We can see what you're doing. We're ready for you. I'm not entirely sure the UK is ready for something that could be out of this. But, you know, what else do you do apart from fire off a load of words? Because the alternative is not good.
Yeah, no, it's too grim to contemplate, isn't it? Now, Adam, tell me about the art you have on your walls.
Do you know, I do have some art on my walls. My father was a big one for painting Van Goghs, you know, doing his own version of Van Goghs. And I've done my own just in my father's footsteps. So I've got Van Goghs on my walls, sort of. But Gustav Klimt, are you a fan of Gustav Klimt? I'm not sure if I'm a fan as such, but they're sort of ethereal, a bit like Chagall, you know, the beauty is in the eye of the beholder. But a Gustav Klimt painting is probably the one that you would think of. If you're trying to think of Klimt, the woman in a white dress against a blue tapestry, she looks kind of ethereal with sparkly things in her dress. It's just sold at auction in New York for $236 million, the second most expensive ever after a painting by Leonardo da Vinci. So $236 million for a portrait of a real woman, Elizabeth Lederer, painted in around 1915, looted by the Nazis and now bought by an unknown buyer in New York. The same auction in New York, by the way, has this for an ultimate commentary on art. And doesn't art work well on the radio, by the way? But anyway, the ultimate commentary on art sold for $12 million, a solid gold toilet. Yep, I think that says a bit. Somebody's cleaning up.
We'll have to leave it below the belt there with Adam Gilchrist on this morning's Worldview.
EWN Business.
Let's wrap up the morning's business news with Muteo Khoripe, looking at food producers hurt by U.S. tariffs and beef prices.
Yeah, the JSE-listed food manufacturing group RFG Holdings says it expects profits to fall by nearly 10% to 531 million rand. Now, RFG says higher beef prices and U.S. tariffs affected operational costs during the period. Group revenue for the company increased by just 1.6% to 8 billion rand, with regional revenue up 4% to 6.6 billion. Now, RFG says the impact of the increased tariffs on South African exports to the U.S. remained uncertain. However, the higher tariffs had reduced RFG's price competitiveness, and some existing customers were sourcing from producers in countries with a tariff advantage over South Africa. And after rising 14.5% in the 6 months to March, volumes at the company fell to 1.9% in the second 6 months.
Another smelter to shut down.
Yeah, the Glencore Merafe Chrome joint venture has confirmed that plans to place its Wonderkoop and Chawuk smelters on care and maintenance and to start retrenching employees at these operations within the next few weeks. The venture has been reviewing its operating procedures and meeting with government, unions and employees to talk about the possible closure. South African ferrochrome smelters have been affected by higher electricity prices, intense competition from China and logistical failures here at home. The companies like ArcelorMittal also still considering letting go of workers at their long steel businesses.
Yeah, but no further for signs of deindustrializing, right?
Yeah.
Than even those shutdowns. Give me a sense of the markets overall.
The rand has been flat at 17 rand at 20, but is likely to go up as we expect that interest rate decision this afternoon from the SAR. But overall, the JSE winning yesterday. The All Share up 1,627 points. It was the mining shares that did most of the lifting, up 4.7%. Sibanye Stillwater up more than 8%. Northam up 5%, with Valterra enjoying gains of 4.7%. Not the best of days for Life Healthcare. They were down 7%. Netcare was down 1%, with Dischem also recording losses yesterday. The rand flat, 17.20 against the US dollar, 19 rand 81 against the euro, and a 22 rand 44 cents against the British pound. Price of gold at $4,069 an ounce. It's slightly lower this morning, but platinum up more than 1% at $1,554. Brent crude at $63.69 a barrel. That's your morning business. Stephen Grotes with more this afternoon.
Medea comes to Joburg at the Market Theatre. We'll tell you about that coming up. In the meantime, Sfisa Zulu, what you got?
Thanks, Bongani. Good morning. ANC MP and former Minister Malusi Gigaba insists he's not guilty of corruption charges he's facing and says stepping back from his party roles is out of respect for the ANC's constitution and its resolutions. The ANC announced last night that Gigaba was invoking the party step-aside rule voluntarily a day after appearing in court in a Transnet procurement matter at the time when he was the Minister of Public Enterprises. In his own statement, Gigaba says he will address all the charges against him in court when the time comes. Lindsay Dentlinga reports.
This is not the first time Malusi Gigaba finds himself embroiled in scandal that impacts his roles as a politician. In 2018, he resigned from his last ministerial role at Home Affairs and as a parliamentarian after a barrage of state capture allegations during inquiries in Parliament. This time around, Gigaba says he had discussions with ANC leaders over the weekend, informing them of his intentions to step aside, seemingly already aware that he would be expected to appear in court on Tuesday. He says to date he's not been served an indictment containing charges related to procurement allegations nor any supporting evidence of wrongdoing. Gigaba has been charged with receiving an undeserved benefit. He says as soon as the legal processes are concluded, he stands ready to return to his party role as a National Executive Committee member. Gigaba is yet to clarify his parliamentary status, where he holds the role of committee chairperson, saying the step-aside rule applies to party positions only and parliamentary processes are handled separately. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News.
The NPA's practices and procedure will come under the spotlight this morning at the inquiry into embattled Johannesburg prosecution's boss Andrew Chawuk. Chawuk is facing an inquiry into his fitness to hold office after National Prosecution's boss Shamila Batoy laid a complaint against him. In July, President Cyril Ramaphosa suspended Chawuk and then set up the inquiry. Chawuk is accused of making questionable prosecutorial decisions that are politically motivated. Mhodzi has more.
Yesterday, Advocate Shamila Batoyi spent the afternoon giving technical evidence on the employment structure at the NPA. She explained the role of the Director of Public Prosecutions compared to the National Director.
The decision to prosecute or not prosecute is the DPP's. The original power is the DPP. It is more a managerial function and oversight that resorts in the Deputy National Director.
Batoyi told the Commission that the National Director, a position that she currently holds, cannot instruct a Regional Director of Prosecutions on whether or not to prosecute. This is important because, according to Andrew Chawuk's lawyers, the decision to prosecute former KZN Hawks head Johan Boysen was made by then Acting Director of Public Prosecutions, Nonqobo Jiba, and not Chawuk. Batowi will continue with her testimony this morning. Eyewitness News, Pretoria.
Social Development Minister Sisisi Tolashe says Social Security Agency SASA is turning the tide in stamping out corruption and fraud. The National Treasury has imposed additional conditions on its 8 billion rand annual allocation to pay grants. Tolashe told Parliament's Portfolio Committee yesterday that the reviews will be ongoing to ensure that all grant recipients are eligible. With all social relief of distress grant recipients now verified, SASA has told Parliament it's already sent out 150,000 notifications over the last 2 months for other grant recipients to present themselves for biometric verification. Tolashe says the measures that caused the chaos in August and September with snaking queues at SASA offices are not meant to punish.
With faster monthly biometric verification and enhanced digital tools, we will continue to ensure that the SRD only benefit those who need it most.
And UNICEF says more than 400 million children lack access to 2 basic meals and sanitation each day. The organization is marking World Children's Day by appealing to African countries to children's rights to grow and thrive. It adds that governments are cutting down on foreign assistance, and it projects that these budget cuts could have as many as 6 million children out of school just by next year. Camray Clark reports.
UNICEF's report on the state of the world's children found that 417 million children are deprived of at least 2 essential basic needs, critical for their development and well-being. The report says the highest rates of multidimensional poverty exists in sub-Saharan Africa. It also found that access to sanitation was the most widely neglected basic need, with 65% of low-income household children lacking access to a toilet. The report also assesses monetary poverty, stating that 19% of children live in extreme monetary poverty. UNICEF's Louis Dubois.
And the situation is especially severe in Africa, where children face the highest levels of hardship. Across the continent, many children are missing out on the support they need to stay healthy, go to school, and grow up safely.
UNICEF today urges all governments to prioritize giving decent work to caregivers to strengthen the economic security of children. Camray Clark, Eyewitness News.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng, with showers expected. The temperatures will peak at highs between 24 and 26 degrees.
And in the traffic, we've got roadworks on the N3, both directions between Vincent Chabalala Road and the Baklu turnoff. And they're causing heavy traffic volumes while travelling out of Midrand. Do expect delays on the N1 South between Allendale Road and the Baklu interchange.
The top story this hour, Malusi Gigaba insists he is not guilty of the corruption charge he's facing.
The Midday Report.
Weekdays,
12 to 1.
This brown Mhodzi is lying. This guy is lying. You can even hear it straight after this guy is lying. I think he was sent by other people to blackmail General Mkwanans. But otherwise, you can even hear it. Lies, you can hear lies. You don't have to try and figure anything out. But you can hear that this guy is lying.
Lies, and everywhere is lies.
Yeah, it's a lot, eh? It's a lot. These are going to have to be corroborated. What kind of evidence is there?
The Midday Report
with Mandy Wiener.
12 to 1 on 702.
702.
Why wait? Sell your ride now and enjoy instant payment with a seamless experience. We Buy Cars isn't playing when it comes to buying cars. It's faster and easier than you think. Curious about what they'll offer? Visit webuycars.co.za today. Looking for your next ride? Explore a massive range of cars, bikes, boats, bakkies, and more online or in-store. We Buy Cars, the best way.
At Auto & General, we understand your business is built on more than just vehicles. It's your stock, tools and equipment, and the premises where you work. Auto & General Business Insurance is designed for businesses like yours, protecting your assets against fire, theft, storms, and other unexpected events. To protect your livelihood, visit autogen.co.za and get an obligation-free business insurance quote. Auto & General, never not there. Auto and General is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's and C's online.
As South Africa assumes the G20 presidency in 2025, 702 and Standard Bank Group bring you exclusive conversations with the voices shaping Africa's economic future.
So the conversations have been good, and one of the key things that we've had to do is in addressing that cost of capital conversation is to really follow the principle of not just talking about our stakeholders, but talking to them as well. So engaging the credit rating agencies has been very positive, but equally, we've been calling out for the African sovereigns to do a better job in the transparency and the storytelling about bringing the visibility around a firmer understanding of the market, the economy, and all those considerations that would be key in how the market is understood and therefore the applied sovereign rating.
Brought to you by Standard Bank Group on 702. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. 702.
WhatsApp Bongani on 072
702 1702.
702 land. This thing of going out in pajamas is not on, hey? Because what next? It's gonna be going out in lingerie or what? So shops even started putting notices to say no pajamas in the stores, like at the entrance, they say no entry if you're in your pajamas. Because it was going out of hand. Shops like Spa had to put up these notices because it was gowns, pajamas. Then what next? The sexy lingeries, because you're just going to get sprayed quickly. It's out of order.
Hi, Bongles and team. People need to leave their pajamas and gowns at home. Hey, even going to the gate, we don't want to see it. No ways. I'm not judging, but no. For me, you are not clean. You're leaving the house and you are not clean. Didn't bath, you didn't go via something. I don't know, but no. Oh, no. No. You don't even lounge in your pajamas. Get lounging clothes. No. Hi, man.
Morning, Bongani. When you said that confession time, you have something to confess. For a moment there, I thought you were going to confess and tell us that you were wearing a bonnet. By the way, it's called a bonnet, not a bonnet. It's Ndabezinhle, Germiston.
We learn every day. How many bonnets do you have, Ndabezinhle, in Germiston? Maybe send us a picture of you wearing one of yours. I don't own one, I'm afraid. We're talking, of course, about people going out in their sleepwear in public. I will struggle, Amo, even if I come to your house and you're sitting in your lounge in your gown during the day. Like, no, guys, no.
But I've confessed that I that's my comfort thing. When I get home, the first thing that I put on is my gown and I put it over my clothes, right?
During the day?
Not during the day, towards the evening.
You're going to open the door to visitors.
No one is visiting at that time of the day.
That's the point. It's meant to be something behind doors. So that I can respect. But it's even you sitting in your gown during the day. Hi, what for?
EWN Sport.
Somebody who's always prim and proper wherever he goes, whatever time of day, is Anthony Teixeira.
Thank you.
Am I right, Anthony?
I'll take that 100%.
I tell you what, we expect the Springboks to always go out in their finest, right?
Yeah, we do indeed. And today we'll be finding out the Springboks team for the test against Ireland. Now, the announcement is set to take place at around 3 p.m. this afternoon. Cheslin Colby expects another hard-fought clash.
It's not something we've been thinking about, but yeah, we definitely haven't won here since 2012, if I'm not mistaken. And whether we played in South Africa or whether we came here or on a neutral ground, it's always been 50-50. We just need to make sure that we implement what we want to implement on the weekend and what the coaches have set out for us, but also to adapt to the scenarios on the field. South Africa, Ireland, always a massive game. It's going to be as physical as you can get.
Switching to cricket, the Ashes will get started in the early hours of Friday morning, with Australia looking to retain the earn for fourth consecutive series after the previous Ashes in England was drawn. The last one for the English down under was 15 years ago. Baggy Green's Test captain Steve Smith announced the team and will be handing first caps to Jake Weatherald and Brendan Doggett. Smith also highlighted the absence of pace bowlers Josh Hazlewood and Sean Abbott.
Yeah, injuries happen in sport, particularly in cricket with fast bowlers. They put a lot of stress through their bodies. So, yeah, unfortunate, obviously, that those two are out, but I think an exciting opportunity for Scotty and for Brendan Doggett, who's going to make his debut. Brendan's been on a few tours with Australia. He's very skillful. I think he's improved.
Today sees Sri Lanka and Zimbabwe play the second ODI of their tri-series. In football, the last 6 spots for the 2026 FIFA World Cup will be decided via playoff, with the draws taking place in Zurich. 2 separate draws will take place, one for the Europeans and the other an Interconfederation playoff. 16 European nations will be separated into 4 playoff paths with single semi-finals and finals, with the 6 nations for the rest of the world vying for 2 qualifying berths. DR Congo, the African representative, or Eder Militao, is expected to miss out the next 2 weeks of Real Madrid's season after being diagnosed with a muscle injury suffered on international duty with Brazil. A Danish court found that Andreas Schodrup has been found guilty of sharing sexual material of 2 under-18 boys and given a 2-week suspended prison sentence, and will only serve time in jail if found guilty of another crime in the next 12 months. The Norwegian had cooperated with the police investigation and pleaded guilty, telling the court he received the video on Snapchat, shared it to a group chat before deleting it when he realized they were underage. And in tennis, the remaining Davis Cup quarterfinals are happening throughout the day. Spain against Czechia, Argentina meet Germany. Anthony Teixeira, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
What group chat is he having, I wonder? Let's wrap up this morning's traffic.
Well, Bongani, certainly those roadworks along the N3 will continue to cause more delays this morning. This is between Vincent Chabalala Road and the Baku turn off. And then if you're leaving Midrand, please be on the lookout for an accident right near the Baku turn off. It's on the N1 South. Delays coming out of Allendale Road. And then do remember those road closures around the Nasrec precinct. Roads affected include the Golden Highway between Rancho Road and the Soweto Highway, as well as Boyson's Road Reserve between Crownwood Road and Nasrec Road. More updates at the top of the hour. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
South Africa is taking its place on the world stage at the B20 and G20 summits 2025. Telkom is proud to stand with the nation, building a digital future that reaches every community. Through reliable fiber, mobile and cloud networks, Telkom is connecting families, small businesses and young people to new opportunities. They're helping drive digital public infrastructure so services are easier to access for all. Telkom, the digital backbone of South Africa's future.
As leaders in renewable energy finance, Nedbank has a track record spanning over 100 years. From pioneering large-scale solar and wind farms to financing complex energy infrastructure in emerging markets, Nedbank offers clients deep sector expertise, combined with the ability to navigate the unique challenges of Africa's just energy transition. See money differently. Nedbank. Nedbank is a licensed FSP and registered credit provider.
Join us.
Let's walk the talk.
This is 702.
Hi, Bongani Jenny G. Maybe one of our stumbling blocks is our excellent constitution, because Brian Mhodzi and many of our politicians can throw out these outrageous comments or statements or conspiracy theories, and then of course the burden of proof is on the state, and we all act like gentlemen, and they take advantage of it. That's pretty much how I see it. Cheers, bye.
Morning, Bongani and team. For me, I think if the commission wants to get past mad people like Brown Mhodzi, they have to question why is it seems all these people know each other somehow, but the explanation is always that it's a coincidence. All of a sudden, Brown Mhodzi has a fiance. She's the director of what's the company, Hotle or whatever. Investigate the link of why these people know each other, because Bob Brown Mhodzi, they will never ever tell us the truth. A waste of time. I don't understand why we have to be subjected to Brown Mhodzi's lies and madness. Clarity from Centurion. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean it is quite it's been bizarre. I think that's really the word, that these people are willing to go on the public record speaking under oath, and they say these wild, unsubstantiated statements that really are difficult to believe. And so I think, as one of the commissioners said yesterday at the Madlanga Commission, that they've got to be careful about what platforms they give to these witnesses who really have long tales to tell.
Access to the internet is vital for any country to grow. That's why the recent 6.75 billion rand digital infrastructure deal that Standard Bank Corporate and Investment Banking facilitated between Telkom and an Actors-led consortium is so transformational for South Africa. It unlocks growth and provides internet access to underserved communities who will now have access to the internet for the very first time. Search CIB Stories of Impact to watch the full story.
Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
At Premier Hotels and Resorts, business travelers staying alone enjoy a complimentary drink every night of their stay. So, whatever your tipple, it's on the house at any of our 24 hotels and resorts nationwide. Book today at premierhotels.co.za.
Whether it is a CCMA referral, problems with a mechanic, unfair blacklisting, or an uncontested divorce, Clientele Legal offers professional legal services to all South Africans. Our plans are affordable, and you receive up to 745,000 rand worth of legal services per year. We cover civil, criminal, and labor-related matters. Our nationwide legal teams are standing by to support you 24 hours a day. Plus, all plans include a 5,000 rand bail benefit. Join today. SMS Legal to 48721. That's legal to 48721. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Walking the talk, here's something a little different. Imagine a thirsty Johannesburg. Taps coughing up dust, bills piling up, promises evaporating. A cracked, angry city, and into it steps none other than Medea, a foreigner, a mother, an exile, and pushed a little too far. This is a really fascinating take. Director, of course, Lila Henriquez, takes us on an ancient story, but bringing it to modern-day Johannesburg. Let's speak to Lila joining us on the line. And to be clear, of course, when we're talking about Medea, we're not necessarily talking about Tyler Perry's Medea.
Yes, we're talking about Euripides' 431 BC Medea.
Yes, I was a little naughty earlier, and I said Medea comes to Johannesburg. But indeed, that is part of an ancient story, and it's a familiar one, of course, for those who follow the classics. How have you brought it to modernity, working with, of course, the Kwasha Theatre Company, young artists from the Windybrow?
Yes, it's actually really topical. It has all our themes. It's really essentially a love story and the fallout of a love story and how children are impacted in it. It's about greed, it's about power, it's about immigration, emotional dysregulation, and how that all falls on the children. So yes, we're working with the Kwasha Theatre Company. We're also working with the Inner City after-school drama program at the Windybrow, which is quite incredible. And we're working with Playgroup, who are this wonderful company that listens to sounds. And they've been listening to the sounds of Johannesburg to get an understanding of what Johannesburg is about. So it's this wonderful collaboration to make us understand what Medea means to us in our modern time.
I mean, ultimately, this was a classic Greek tragedy, was it not? How do you bring that into Johannesburg in the modern times? What is your essential story today?
Well, it's the same story. It translates beautifully. So it's the same story. It's Medea that has been forsaken and betrayed by her husband, Jason. Jason, who is on very hard times, the debts are piling, he doesn't know what to do. So he decides to marry a very rich and powerful man's daughter to solve the problem. This makes Medea, She then gets banished because she's making such wild claims about Jason and the king, the powerful man. So she gets banished. So her options are to head off somewhere with 2 small children, with no resources, or to take action herself. So by setting it in Joburg, we don't really have to look very far for that story to be alive. We've been working in Hillbrow, and just looking out the window of Hillbrow, you just see children, children of all ages, all kinds, busy dealing with a crumbling city, somewhere being forsaken, but managing and coping and getting ahead. And that really is what Medea is about. Yeah.
I'm fascinated because your portrayal sounds very sympathetic to Medea, who's usually, I suppose, seen as a bit of a monster. And you're also playing on, I imagine, sensitivities, particularly in the Joburg environment, particularly around foreigners in South Africa, desperate to be here for all sorts of reasons. So you're touching on almost a dichotomy there, the sympathy, the monster. It's really fascinating. Tell us more.
Yeah, I mean, you can never really judge a character that you are playing. And Medea, I think when we really go into it and what she's up against, she makes really bad decisions. She's emotionally dysregulated. But what she's facing and the path she takes is kind of understandable. To be exiled alone with children in poverty, with nothing, or her need for revenge, which somehow gives her some kind of power, is what she. So we're not really condemning and we're not condoning. We're just telling the story, and we're seeing where it lands. Of course, we're not condoning, but at the same time, it's not just a monster who's doing this.
I mean, Jason, the betrayal, you could argue, feels very South African in some senses. The idea of securing the bag, marrying up, surviving the economy. Is he the villain, or just another person also equally desperate, making desperate choices?
Yeah, he's also in survival. He's trying to get ahead. He's fallen on hard times. Everything's crumbling around him. The debts are piling up. He's trying to think of a way to survive. That's his justification of why he's doing. And in watching it, you can also see that. So we're not condemning anyone. We're telling 2 sides of the story. I think what we are, though, is trying to put out a warning of the fallout on the children. The children are these, they're the ultimate victims in all of this, of adults' huge emotions, of adults' plans, of adults' need to get ahead. And somewhere they've got lost in this crazy story, like so much is happening now. Yeah,
there's so much to grieve, I suppose. Also, if you think about democracy and the promise of Johannesburg, the city of gold, and maybe that's a particular theme that comes through this, because there is loss, there is so much to grieve, there's so much unfulfilled promise, and there's so much poisoning of a dream.
Yes, there is so much to grieve, but the Joburg and what's happening in Joburg and the dealing with Joburg becomes a kind of rhythm that's underneath our story. The story is happening in the space, but it's not. We're not on point saying we're running out of water, but we are all the time trying to drag liters of water up, 10 flights of stairs to this flat. You know what I mean? And we've also got the sounds of water and getting stuck in pipes of we've got a tap that sometimes the water doesn't come out of, that all adds to the tension of this domestic story. Yeah.
I mean, Medea's revenge, because ultimately that's what she goes for in trying to make sure that Jason ends up with no children, no wife, no lover, that she feels as much of her pain as he inflicted on her. How do you navigate that in your interpretation?
Well, I suppose, that's the really hard thing. And it's very hard to just dive straight into that moment without experiencing the whole play first. Because through the play, you get an understanding and an empathy for these characters of why she landed up doing, what she did. We don't show it obviously on stage. We've got young actors who are very alive and vibrant in the space. And at the end, you are left with the idea of like, is this a metaphoric end of childhood, or is this the actual death, or is this, what? It's clear, but you're left with the mythic element of it because it is a myth, and it's a warning. Yeah.
So many themes in this play, betrayal, vengeance, but I suppose as we wrap up our conversation, the idea of the foreigner and the other, because as you say, Medea is faced with these impossible choices, doesn't always perhaps make ones that serve her interests, but she's conflicted and completely just isolated and on her own with no sympathy, I suppose. That's a theme that will be familiar to many people listening.
Yes. I mean, Medea is marginalized from the start. She's from a foreign land, and now she's being kicked out again into a different foreign land that she doesn't know. So she's very isolated. She's very alone. And at the same time, she's got slight magical powers, and she comes from a royal line, and she's got this sense of self. So she's trying to also navigate her own agency within in a situation where she has no agency. I think that's also very relevant. But that's so really it is it's short, it's punchy, it's a roller coaster. We're examining it from many different angles. It's only on for 4 shows. I think it's a fascinating window into Johannesburg now.
And I love how the children are part of that chorus, almost reflecting that window of Johannesburg. On for 4 performances, the 27th to the 30th of November at the Barney Simon Theatre. This is at the Market Theatre in Johannesburg. You can get your tickets from Web Tickets. Lila Henriquez, this is absolutely fascinating. It's amazing how these ancient plays really have survived and still find resonance in modernity, even in places as far away as Johannesburg is to ancient Greece. And they're still alive, and it's one more reason to keep going to the theatre,
702 podcasts are on 702.co.za.
And on that mysterious, mystic note, we'll leave this edition of 702 Breakfast. The Clement Manyatela Show starts now.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. All eyes are on the Reserve Bank today as economists are split on the repo rate decision in the final meeting of the Monetary Policy Committee for the year. The MPC will wrap up its deliberations on the central bank's benchmark policy rate later this afternoon, and some economists have labelled it as the conclusion of a period marked by elevated uncertainty and market volatility. Nowukaya Mtambo has more.
While 2025 was expected to be turbulent, economists at FNB say the path to a 7% repo rate was initially projected to be smooth. However, external shocks from the new US administration's tariff policies and South Africa's fraught budgeting process disrupted this path, prompting a pause in March. Despite these headwinds, inflation surprised to the downside and the rand held steady, allowing the MPC to resume rate cuts in May and July. While some market participants think the next rate cut could be as early as this November meeting, FNB says the MPC is more likely to hold the rate steady. The Bureau for Economic Research says if the SARB does cut the repo rate, it doesn't mean we'll see consecutive interest rate declines in the next couple of meetings. The latest decision comes after inflation inched up marginally to 3.6% in October from 3.4% in September, which is still some way above the new inflation target of 3%. Nogukanya Mtambo, Eyewitness News.
Airports Company South Africa says it does not expect any electricity supply disruptions at OR Tambo International Airport as visitors begin arriving for the G20 Leader Summit. The airport is set to experience high passenger volumes from today. In recent weeks, OR Tambo has experienced several power interruptions that have affected operations and left many travellers stranded. The Transport Department yesterday held a briefing to highlight its readiness of ports of entry to receive G20 delegates. Alfara Mushwana reports.
The OR Tambo International Airport, the Waterkloof Air Force Base and the Lanseria International Airport are the official entry points for G20 heads of state. But just 2 days ago, OR Tambo was plunged into darkness during an unexpected power outage believed to have been caused by an Eskom supply failure. Transport Minister Barbara Creasy says there's no sign that this will happen again, but says if it does, backup systems will kick in immediately.
Should power be lost to our Tambo, we do have backup generators that will take a few seconds to kick in, and they will provide uninterrupted power supply.
She says the aviation sector has carried out all the required safety inspections in preparation to welcome G20 delegates. Alfa Ramshwana, Eyewitness News at the OR Tambo International Airport.
Gauteng's Portfolio Committee on Community Safety in the legislature says schools must be places of learning and development and not scenes of tragic loss. Committee Chairperson Bandile Masuku has reacted to an attack at Ingliweni Primary School in Tembisa, where the principal and another staff member were shot and killed. When tragedy struck at around 5 o'clock in the afternoon earlier this week, both women were reportedly preparing for a meeting scheduled to take place later this week. Masuku says pupils, teachers and staff should never have to fear for their safety while carrying out their duties within a school's premises.
This appalling act of violence committed in a space where children should feel safe and protected highlights the severe escalating impact of gun violence in our community. The committee, we condemn this senseless attack in the strongest possible terms, and it's unacceptable that lives continue to be taken so violently.
And Israeli airstrikes on Gaza have killed 27 people, with Israel and Hamas blaming each other for violating the fragile ceasefire in the Palestinian territory. The strikes are among the deadliest in Gaza since the truce entered into force last month. They also come as Israel also announced a string of attacks targeting Hezbollah in Lebanon in spite of a nearly year-long ceasefire there. 14 people were killed yesterday in Gaza City in the north and 13 in the Khan Yunis area in the south. The Israeli military says it was striking Hamas after militants opened fire towards an area where troops were operating in the south in violation of the ceasefire agreements. Hamas has denied the accusation and denounced the attacks as a dangerous escalation that could jeopardize the truce. Gold is trading at $4,069.55 an ounce. The rand is at 17.19 to the dollar, 22.44 to the pound, 19.80 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $63.76 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the N3 North. This is between Vincent Chabalala Road and the Baklu interchange. That's due to roadworks. While traveling in Kempton Park, Pomona, we've got an accident reported. It's along the R21 South. It's right near Pomona Road. It's causing delays coming out of the R23.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng with afternoon thundershowers expected. The temperatures will peak at highs between 24 and 26 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. All eyes are on the Reserve Bank today as economists are split on the repo rate decision in the final meeting of the Monetary Policy Committee for the year.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with Clement Manyatela
on 702.
Let's walk the talk. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7 and 106 FM.
Seven minutes after 9 o'clock. Dumelang, welcome to the Clement Manyatela Show on this Thursday, the 20th of November. I should actually say Clement Manyatela Show. I loved how someone pronounced Madimeja just the other day. It sounded so good. Madimeja. My Zulu brother, I heard you. I like that. Welcome to the show on this Thursday, the 20th of November. Great to have you with us here on 702. I really hope your morning is going well so far. We're back here at the Sandton Convention Center for day 3 of the B20 summit. In fact, the summit comes to an end today. The president will deliver the closing address. We're here with Nedbank, proud sponsors of the B20 summit. This 3-day summit is really the culmination of the year-long B20 process, which has seen the participation of over 1,000 business leaders from across the G20 in the development of recommendations through 8 task forces. These have been submitted to the G20 presidency, the recommendations that is, and hopefully they're going to influence what will then be part of the declarations and the final report of the G20 presidency from South Africa. So that's why really we're here at the Sandton Convention Center, because it's important what discussions have taken place here at the B20 summit, but also the task forces and the deliberations that have taken place for a year that have culminated to this moment here. Have you seen, so yesterday when I was driving home, in fact, over the last 2 days, remember I asked you on Monday if you've picked up, anything different as you drive home, as you go to work. And I picked up that there's been a truck that I've seen around Sandton, like still fixing like the potholes. The branding is, I think they maybe thinking, what fixer? Not road fixer, but I've seen like these mini trucks written something fixer. Someone please remind me of that. I saw them on Greyston Drive the other day. I saw them about 3 times so far. And that's something that I've really picked up. And I realize that there are still some people that still really don't see how they get affected by this B20 or the G20. And that's one of the questions I want to ask you this morning. Do you think that we are negative as a society? And where do you think that emanates from? It's a question I was asking myself while I was driving to work this morning. I was thinking that G20 is a great opportunity for us as South Africa. It really is. I was looking now at a number of companies that have descended on this country. There are so many, like big companies, Amazon, Microsoft, like a lot of companies that have been part of the deliberations ahead of the G20 summit. We are part of a global conversation. And yet, there are some people that still want to somehow bring about some negativity even around an event like this. And don't get me wrong, I'm not suggesting here that we must not complain about things that are failing in this country. But I'm saying, do you think that we're actually capable of noticing when good things happen, when opportunities present themselves for us as South Africa? Or do you think that we are so traumatized by some of our corrupt leaders and failure in governance that we don't really see the green shoots or the positive, aspects anymore? I mean, one of the things I said yesterday as we were broadcasting from here was how I'm happy that this G20 is happening at a time where we're seeing some green shoots. Like Treasury told us debt is stabilizing. There have been great improvements at Eskom. There are improvements with our ports. We have got our first ratings upgrade. We exited the grey list, remember that? And yes, we need to get to a point where South Africans must experience the benefits of these through economic growth and job creation. But those are positive signs. But do we see that? Or do we just want to be negative about everything? Huh? I mean, some people will mention that, Trump is not even coming, or people are going to be protesting there because they think somehow that then paints a bad picture towards this event, when in fact protests happen all the time when there are global events. Go to Brazil during the COP conference about a week or so ago. anywhere else. When America hosts the G20 next year, I bet you there will be protests. But we almost want to position it as though this is something that's unique to South Africa. Oh, Xi Jinping is not coming, as if it's the first time that there is a leader who doesn't attend the G20 summit. So I just want us to be honest about how we approach things as a society. I'm more interested, though, in where does that come from? Where does it come from? Like, why are we so negative? And maybe it's because of the trauma that we have been taken through, because my goodness, over the last 30 years, God knows we've been through the most. Give me a call on 011-883-0702. Let's have a self-reflective moment there. The WhatsApp line is 072-702-1702. I'm interested to take your contributions as well. Coming out of the Madlanga Commission yesterday, Mhodzi continued with his testimony. He actually admitted to lying under oath. He really seems like he's such a professional liar because he actually believes the lies that he tells. Like, even when you can tell that he's cornered, there's no way out, he still somehow comes up with a story. And I think that's a very dangerous human being to interact with. He's still convinced that people tried to kill him just the other day. Has he opened a case with the police? They looked for him. He's so scary. The fact that he can, with a straight face, look at the commissioners and say the things that he says that do not even make sense on such a public platform is actually quite scary for me. What did you make of his testimony yesterday? Let me know your thoughts on that. Cedric Nkabinde as well, the Chief of Staff for the Police Minister, Senzo Mchunu, also appeared at the ad hoc committee. He spoke a lot about Paul O'Sullivan and how he was running things, and how AfriForum, the DA, and some journalists were involved in taking down is it Khomotso Phahlane, the former commissioner. And in fact, Paul O'Sullivan even sent him an SMS threatening him while he was testifying and said, you must get ready, I'm going to make sure you go to jail, continue with your lies. What did you make of his testimony? Give me a call or send me a WhatsApp voice note. Between 10 and 11 o'clock, though, we're going to do our Hanging Out feature. And today, I'm hanging out with an award-winning actress, Vati Swantaga. What an incredible talent. You probably remember her as Noma Russia on Kazlam. I think she impressed me the most on Home Affairs. I think she was just incredible. Maybe you saw her on Generations, Isidingo, Muvango, you name it. She has shown a remarkable ability to inhabit characters with honesty, with vulnerability, with intensity, and I can't wait to get to know her better between 10 and 11 o'clock. At 11 o'clock, we're going to do our Thursday dialogue, and today we're going to focus it on where we are at the Sandton Convention Center at this B20 summit. We'll look at Africa's opportunity to shape global economic policy through this G20. What is Africa's unique business value? Because often we talk about the things we're able to export, right? Like critical minerals, but we need to balance between us being a global supplier of critical minerals with the need for local beneficiation and industrialization. But if we're being honest, we haven't even taken full advantage of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, have we? But perhaps this G20 platform gives us an opportunity to advance that African Continental Free Trade Agreement. So we'll speak to Mxolisi Mgojo, who is the B20 co-chair. We'll also speak to the former Finance Minister, Trevor Manuel, who is the chair of the G20 Africa Expert Panel. And as a panel, what they've done is sort of look at just the rising levels of African debt. And they look at institutions like the International Monetary Fund and the need to adopt sweeping measures to refinance debt, because you know about the conditions that are often attached by these multilateral financial institutions that are sometimes unfair to countries that are desperate for money. So we'll speak about the kind of recommendations that they have come up with as the Africa Expert Panel. So Trevor Manuel speaks to us as well in that hour between 11 and 12 o'clock. That's the show coming up over the next 3 hours.
Clement Maniatella. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Good morning, Clement and the 702 listeners. Hey, brother man, I don't think we are negative. I think we are tired. There's a stage or a state where we get to as a people where we are just tired. And even when good things happen, we are too exhausted to separate the good from the bad. In fact, we are at a state where we don't trust anybody anymore. That even when they show a good gesture, we see it as a conspiracy. You can't blame us for being where we are. We are tired. We have seen a whole lot. We have been abused a lot. We have been deceived a lot. And now we are just exhausted, and we don't want to put ourselves at risks of believing the same nonsense again and coming back to the same point.
And I think that's a fair point. I take that. I think that's a fair point. I think sometimes it's just that we're tired. We've been taken for fools. People have stolen, leaders have stolen money in front of us and still came to us to ask for our votes. And some of us were stupid enough to still give them an opportunity, only to come back and complain about them again because they've never really shown us that they're willing to do things differently. And maybe that's it. Sometimes maybe you're just tired to a point that even when good things are happening, you don't see that. So what do we do then next? Because I do think that it's not healthy for us to have an attitude like that where even when there are green shoots, even when there are positive things that are happening, we don't see that. I don't think that's healthy. As tired as we may be, as disappointed as we may be with our country or our leaders, when there are positive things that happen, the same way we're able to celebrate when the Springboks win, the same way we're able to come together when Bafana, Banyana, Cricket South Africa, we are able to celebrate and be happy. I think there's an opportunity there for us to still, while we are being critical towards our leaders, while we're being cautious in our optimism, we're still able to identify what is positive. Otherwise, I think that's a dangerous place to be in. Let me know your thoughts. 011-883-0702. WhatsApp's on 072-702-1702. Koketso, even, I see your calls. We'll start with them after the break. I'm also going to bring in Tebe Ikalafe, who's a branding and reputation advisor. Maybe he can help us understand why we have an attitude like this and how we change it around. It's 20 minutes after 9.
Africa Milani.
Weekday mornings,
4 to 6.
Martin, you've called in your thoughts on the process the city of Joburg undertook to verify traders, with only 161 of them being approved by the city.
Most of these people who are selling in that we are hogging the pavement in Johannesburg, they didn't have payment.
Here's a voice note on this.
Even in the olden days, in the streets of Joburg, late 80s, early 90s, people were trading. The problem is that now people are trading even in places where they are not supposed to trade.
I have no problem whatsoever with informal trading, but there are bylaws that need to be adhered to.
Africa Milani.
4 to 6 on 702.
As leaders in renewable energy finance, Nedbank has a track record spanning over 100 years. From pioneering large-scale solar and wind farms to financing complex energy infrastructure in emerging markets, Nedbank offers clients deep sector expertise, combined with the ability to navigate the unique challenges of Africa's just energy transition. See money differently. Nedbank. Nedbank is a licensed FSP and registered credit provider.
After a short migration, the family arrives at the premier resort, rich in food, drink, and entertainment. The young, freed from classroom captivity, head straight for Kids Club and the safety of the herd. The adult male meanders to the scuba center, while the matriarch basks by the pool.
Book your resort escape to Neisner, East London, Scottborough or Sunny Pass at premierhotels.co.za.
As South Africa assumes the G20 presidency in 2025, 702 and Standard Bank Group bring you exclusive conversations with the voices shaping Africa's economic future.
So the conversations have been good, and one of the key things that we've had to do is in addressing that cost of capital conversation is to really follow the principle of not just talking about our stakeholders, but talking to them as well. So engaging the credit rating agencies has been very positive, but equally, we've been calling out for the African sovereigns to do a better job in the transparency and the storytelling about bringing the visibility around a firmer understanding of the market, the economy, and all those considerations that would be key in how the market is understood and therefore the applied sovereign rating.
Brought to you by Standard Bank Group on 702. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. The Clement Manyatela Show, live from the B20 Summit. For the first time on African soil. Brought to you by Nedbank.
23 minutes after 9 o'clock. This is the 702 open line. We are taking your calls on 011-883-0702. WhatsApps on 072-702-1702. Koketso, and even I'll come to you in a moment. Tebe Kalafeng is a branding and reputation advisor joining us on the line. Tebe, thanks for coming through. Good morning.
Good morning to you, Clement. Are we not running this weekend? Or are we running the country?
We're running the country this week, and we'll run over the weekend while we are also running things at G20. So, Tebe, I wanted you to come in because I really think that sometimes as a society, as a country, we can be negative. And I'm speaking broadly. I'm saying we. I'm not pointing fingers at anyone. I think sometimes we fail to see green shoots even when there are positive things happening. And there could be a number of reasons for that. Some people are saying we're just traumatized. Some are saying we're just tired of being taken for granted. What do you think is the source here? And is there even a possibility for us to change things around?
Of course there is. And I think, but at the beginning, I think it's important to confirm and to reaffirm that South Africans, as a rule, are not unpatriotic. As you say, they are just exhausted. They're exhausted because of the growing mistrust in the system. And I think you want to ask the question now specifically in terms of why. Well, I mean, we've got the long shadow of the state capture, which is unresolved, which has eroded the social contract that we have with the people in power. That's one. The second thing now, in the context of the G20, I don't think anybody really knows what the G20 is about. I mean, you and I would know because perhaps that's a language we speak every day. But I think we failed to even leverage opportunities such as this to be able to tell a better story, to mobilize people in the country as to why this is important for us. But I think at the core, it's the economic hardships. The economic hardships and service delivery failures over the years. Pride is earned generally through performance, not slogans. And there's tons of slogans in the town. And that's the challenge. And perhaps the last one before you respond, you check further. To me, it's also an understanding that that the private sector, there's a broken national narrative about the country that we need to correct. What does South Africa stand for? What makes us South Africans? And what should we all rally behind?
So how do we turn the tide? Because sometimes what I normally do is I ask the listeners, what is the one thing that reminds you of why you are so lucky to be South African? And at least that's what I do also as an individual. When I am feeling consumed by the negativity, I often pause and I say, okay, but what do you love about this country? What are the things that make you proud of being South African? And it's in that moment that I sort of pick up the positive things. How do you think we can turn the tide? Because turning the tide doesn't mean we shouldn't be critical to our leaders. We shouldn't criticize when necessary. It just means you balance things out, because I don't think it's healthy to also just be negative, whether justified or not, in your criticism and your critical state.
And you're absolutely correct. I think, to me, at the highest level, the halo is first we need to define the story of South Africa, which is honest about the past, clear about the present, and also ambitious about the future. So we need that at the halo. But now you're going to say, that's hot air. But that actually should be anchored by another important thing. I think you remember the recent Edelman Trust report actually over the last few years, they say the same thing. They say people don't trust government, people don't trust social media, so there's a leadership trust issue. So we need to restore trust in leadership. And that means that about being accountable, being about transparent, and there must be consequence management, which in South Africa, I guess now with the Madlanga, the question is, where's the Madlanga Commission going to end? Where are all these other charges that we see people being charged every day? Where are they all going to end? What's going to, so if there'll be some consequence management or people being held accountable, that will begin to restore trust. Second, I think which is important, is we need to fix the basics. Fix the basics. Don't fix the basics. Don't put lipstick on a pig. Just because there's people visiting the country now this week, now you are cleaning up. It's a terrible African culture of trying to cover the surface because the visitors are coming this Sunday. So let's make it all look beautiful so they must look at us nicely. No, it needs to be sustainable, and it needs to be intentional, and it needs to be long-term. So fix the basics. Whether energy, I think we're beginning to see that, right? We've seen that with Eskom. I think that is doing a wonderful job at Eskom. We've seen the turnaround at Eskom.
Oh, Tebe, the line is deteriorating there. Apologies for that, but I think, the line is fading there. But I think we got some of the gist of what Tebe Ikalafeng was saying. The government also has a role to play here. Just fix the basics. Koketso, you're calling us from Johannesburg. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, morning, Clement. It's wonderful to speak to you again. I think for me, I'm not worried about us hosting the G20 because we have hosted the World Cup before and we did a stellar job. So I'm confident that we are going to do a brilliant job about this G20, But I think for me, the biggest problem comes in terms of, I don't think we are unhappy as South Africans. South Africans are genuinely very joyful, but we need to also sort of, look at the economic realities that people live in, right? So, all these world leaders are jetting in on their private jets into basically the most unequal country in the whole world, And given almost like that backdrop of the fact that there's so much inequality, there's so much unemployment, unemployment is sitting at like 40%. So all of these things, I think, do feed into that to say, you know what, we do, as South Africans, do great things. We can host world-class events and, put people up in the best accommodation, and our hospitality will always be on point, right? But for me, it just speaks to like the inequalities that we face in this country, to say that we do have, a high level of joblessness that most societies actually by now, people will be rioting every day because a 40% unemployment rate is unnatural, Clement. Lack of access to food. Most people don't have access to food. They can't afford